What is up, everybody? It is me, VideoPresident102, coming to you in a video for my 100 subscribers. I have 100 subscribers. This is so cool. Thank you all so much for subscribing. This is truly a dream come true. I didn't think this would happen, but it happened. And I was texting my friend the whole time. So, yesterday I was at 98 subscribers. So close. Today I woke up, I had 96. And I texted, Cold W Edits, I'm sad. They're like, so why? I dropped down 2 subscribers. Next thing I know, I'm here watching my subscriber count go from 99 to 100. I'm sitting here like... Thank you all so much for subscribing. You guys truly are the backbone to my channel. And as promised, I am reading The Slithering all in one go. Each chapter is at least 1,000 words long, and there's 20 chapters, excluding the final end credits, I guess, chapter 19. Story description. I want Virgil back. I want love from anyone. I want my Roman. I want revenge on deceit. I want these emotions out of here. I want deceit gone. I'm still working on my Remus voice. Please help. So the genre is fan fiction. That's the story cover. Just a bright yellow backdrop and Deceit's shadow. So that's the best I could do at the time, and I'm not changing it. So haha. Yeet. Okay, remember I just started writing. So this was my very first book, so if it's bad, then haha. That's why. Chapter 1, Bad Night. The title here came to be because I wanted good morning, but the opposite of that, so bad night, you know. He opened his eyes with exhaustion after being in bed for only an hour and a half. He was so tired and not ready to face the day. Everyone hated him, except for one. He thoughtlessly dragged himself to the closet that seemed so far away from his bed. He could feel his head pounding as he slipped off his snake onesie. It was yellow with the black outlined scales. It had a hood of a snake with a stovepipe hat and monocle. The red stringy tongue hung over the front of his face whenever he wore it. He first slipped on his pants, being half asleep while doing so. He threw his shirt over his heavy head, giving him a moment of comfort as the soft cotton rubbed against his forehead. He sat on the stool for a second, feeling how cold it was without his jacket. He stared at his jacket with the yellow outline and the chains going across. His nightmare last night. It was that specific piece of clothing that gave him his power. He remembered what the jacket meant. He sighed, looking up at his reflection with each button, slowly pulling it off the black velvet hanger. His hair was such a mess. Thank God he wore a hat. He didn't have time to brush it. He hates when his hair is a mess, though. It made him seem not as put together. He slid on his jacket knowing it would be cold at first, but gradually get warmer due to his warm body heat. He sat on the stool, buttoning the outer layer. When he began to realize that his jacket didn't warm up like it usually did, he slowly grabbed his hat from the top shelf of the closet. He looked at the shattered family heirloom, glancing up at the mirror and keeping his focus there, looking at his scales. It was hard to see with the shattered mirror he owned, but the picture was still clear from a physical point of view, but blurry from a mental perspective. The scales on his face were not the only scales he had. He had random spots of scales all over his body. He just chose to cover them. Plus, how could you be half snake if you only had half of a fraction of your body is snake-like? He hated his scales and wished he was like Remus, being associated to an octopus, but not exactly having the looks of one. Just like the scales, he had a snake-like tongue, a tongue thin, tiny and pointy after you split into 2 ends. He just put a cover over it to make it seem like less snake. He was very sensitive about his snake side. In hopes to gain more confidence, he placed his hat on his head ever so lightly. His hat usually gave him a jolt of confidence or power. Even with the hat, though, today was not his day. He smiled his usual wicked smile to practice for later. He looked okay, but felt like a raging dumpster fire. The other didn't need to know. They would think that since he is a liar, when I feel joy and happy, that means I'm depressed and sad. They didn't know about him. Now that they thought about this, he didn't need anyone to know about him. He was just a liar. He slipped on his socks and then his shoes with quite ease. He then noticed how glimmery his footwear appeared to be after having the same shoes for 8 years and never polishing or washing them. They looked pretty good. After tying his shoes, he sat up swiftly in immediate regret as the dizzy feeling in his head. He got up from his stool with a creak and went towards the door. When he got to the door, he took a deep breath. He reached at the doorknob and looked at his hands. His hands could be a friend or foe. They could do remarkable things, as well as horrifying ones. His hands! He rushed back to the room to where he kept his accessories, and at the bottom of the crate with his bright yellow gloves. When he was nervous, he would use his nails to scrape his hands. His hands also had scales. It was a snake thing. He learned this from Logan. He said, when a snake, such as yourself, gets nervous, he usually rubs his scales and the reptile sheds. Logan was a nerd, but a good nerd. He was so glad that Logan explained that. I know you're wondering, what do you do when your gloves are on and you're nervous? Well, he scratches his face. It's a natural move for any full human to randomly scratch the face, so it made sense. Taking up the yellow fabric, he finally gets the gloves on and frantically dashes towards the door. Sir Aloud would yell at him for being late to breakfast. Walking into the kitchen, he saw a shadowy figure lurking from the corner of the dim kitchen. They got the hand-me-down kitchen from the main sides. A glowing green light comes from the same corner and burns out with a flash. You were close to being late, Tambourine. Do I need to have a word with you about the importance of family meal time? I wanted to put a condom in the conversation, but if you need to hear it again... Remus was big on family meals. He hates that the two of them are left out of the main side's meals, so they make sure that they are never late to meals so that they feel they belong. Remus hates being an outcast just as much as anyone would. I'm sorry, but like always, we only have oatmeal water. Jessie looked at the bowl in front of him with a blank stare. They had this meal every day for breakfast, while the other sides had diabetes pancakes with chocolate syrup and marshmallows. They weren't even allowed to have a proper bowl of oatmeal. The oatmeal they had to give was watered down with bubbles popping like something died in it. Oh, he would do for some good food. It's okay, Dookie. It's nothing I can't handle. Remus for once let a look of empathy show on his face. He did a half smile before slowly eating his oatmeal-flavored water. If he wasn't the only option for a friend he had, Remus and him wouldn't be as close as they would be. Remus, still only the fourth done with his bowl, looks up with some dripping off his mustache. You know, Hissy, we may be hurting, but we're hurting together. He wasn't expecting something that nice and child-appropriate to come out of the Duke's mouth. He appreciated it, though. It helped a bit. His headache pounded even more along with the growing stomach ache as he finished his wannabe oatmeal. He knew that Remus' words were true. He wasn't cursed to speak and lie. Although that was bad, Remus was cursed with harmful thoughts. He couldn't even imagine going through the pain he was going through and having the power of Remus, having the thoughts of losing loved ones and inappropriate jokes, along with the suffering. At least Remus wasn't half octopus. People compared Remus to an octopus, but wasn't really the aquatic species. Himself was associated with a snake and was half snake. His scales were so embarrassing and unhuman-like. He just wanted to fit in. Even with the face of his scales being super tragic, it got worse. Normal snakes had small, thin scales on the face, but the big, thick ones on the rest of the body. With him, his face scales were the large and thick ones. The fact of having these itchy scales on random parts of the body was the cherry on top of being the snake. Everyone thought that his scales is what made him tough, but that clearly wasn't the case. The others didn't need to know that, though. Not even Remus. He is a close friend, but not one to trust with secrets. The people thought he was tough. He liked it that way. He didn't like showing his soft spots. Yes, he did like friends. Remus placed a glass of brown tinted water. The thought of the disgusting scales kept popping in his mind. The thought that he would never be liked by the good guys. He wasn't the bad guy. He finished his oatmeal soup, mumbling to himself, I am deceit. I am a liar. Chapter 2, because for some reason it's not letting me scroll down like a normal person to read this. Probably because I'm on View as Reader. There we go. It's gonna work now. It's gonna work. Oh yeah, that's my Wattpad. That's my Wattpad. Please follow my Wattpad. Please. Chapter 2, Power Party. Jesse was feeling sick to his stomach. He went to the dark side control panel. The dark side control panel was the office of the main sides before Inside Out came out and Prince got ideas. The snake walked in coughing and wheezing with each breath he took. The place was very dusty. No matter how much Remus and him scrubbed and dusted and cleaned, the place was never anything short of dirty. The dishonest side was thinking. He was the only side that hasn't revealed its name. He was the only side that didn't have any powers. Patton can make clones of himself. Roman had electric touch. Logan is telepathic, and Virgil can stop time as well as time travel. Remus had powers that Deceit was very sure of, but he never was told what the power was. Then there was him. Guess after the Friends on the Other Side Disney remix that Thomas came up with, everyone assumed that he had yellow string powers that could summon demons, do telepathic stuff, stop time, change the past and future, or basically have every single power that you could imagine. That sounds amazing. He did know that once a life-changing event happens with him, he would gain his powers. Roman gained his after Thomas finished his first play. Patton gained his after Thomas ran away from home and came back crying in his parents' arms. Logan gained his powers after Thomas was rewarded for winning the 3rd grade spelling bee. Virgil gained his when Thomas became a tryhard in middle school. Lastly, there was Remus. He got his mystery powers when his friends talked about violence and blood so much that Thomas couldn't do anything but contribute to their inappropriate behavior. Yes, Thomas did lie, but nothing tragic in his life happened when Thomas lied, not even once. So he was stuck as the only side that did not have his powers. He was excited to get his all powers in one yellow string power, though, not just wasting the time. His stomach ache grew. Was it unbearable, disgusting, and inedible oatmeal that he had for breakfast, or was it a cause of an unknown source? He then thought about what Remus was saying on the phone late last night, how they would always be loners. Another dark side might be introduced. They could always gain more people like them who are outcasts from the main 4, or they could talk to the main sides for an explanation and explain everything. The second one was an unlikely thought. Unless something happens and they all of a sudden think lying is a good force, that will not be happening. He knew Remus was just being playful, but he had no idea how he was bringing up such sensitive subjects. He turned the desk chair around, flopping down into his leather exterior. Dust flew all around him. He gagged on the air around him and spun the chair backwards towards the desk. He sat at his control panel looking at all the buttons, the keyboard to type in the lies he thought of, the silent treatment button, the big blue button that was broken and was just there for him to pound when he got mad. The smirk glossed across his face, remembering the fun times he shared with Remus in this room. There are still stains on the walls from the food fight they had. Thomas was currently talking to Jim, and he asked why Thomas was so tired. Now, sometimes a light went off in the room when the sides wanted him to lie. The seat felt bad, but he decided to let them suffer. He left a small pop and disappeared on his bed. He was ready to go to his desk and work when he noticed a small paper bag with a green sticky note. It read, Dear Mr. Slithers, here's a treat for you that will hopefully help you in your current state. Remember, I may be mean, But I love you. Remus. With Remus, anything could be considered a treat. He took a deep breath and decided to open the bag. With a small rip of the paper, a blast of scent and vanilla smacked Deceit right across the face. Looking aside, Deceit rapidly took the treat out of the bag. Patton's vanilla cookies. It was his favorite before the Mainstays discovered he lies about everything. He took a bite. He only had 3 cookies, so he had to make sure the bites would last long. The warmth from the middle of the cookies soothed all his nerves. He then suddenly couldn't keep his eyes open for anything. He ran out of the strength to hold the rest of the cookie and dropped it out of his hand. Then he discovered he didn't even have the strength to hold himself up, so he lay it on his pillow, and no matter how hard he tried to stay awake, his eyes closed softly and lightly, resulting in a quick slumber. No. I don't like advertisements. Stupid advertisements. No one likes you. Oh yeah, there's next. Can you, work X button, please? I'm tapping you. Why won't you work? The X button isn't working. Okay, Chapter 3, Cookie Crusade. Remus' point of view. Trigger warning, cursing, me not knowing how to do non-binary powers. Okay, let's keep going. After Deceit left the kitchen, I started to analyze what was going on. I think he was finally going through the process of becoming an adult, otherwise known as adultery. I gave Patton that idea, so don't ask me why I know references, even though I wasn't there. He didn't want to eat. He seemed extremely tired, and he was moody. I mean, he is Deceit, and he's always a moody bitch, but he seemed like a different kind of moody bitch. Deceit doesn't have any powers yet, so he most likely is going through PAMS. That's it for Power Adapting Mood Swings. It starts 6 months before the side gains his or their powers. In the 6 months, sites could go through troubling emotions of depression, heightened worry or anxiety, too much eating or not eating at all, lack of sleep or sleeping too much, plus some eyelashes when get the slightest bit of upset. Like when Princey got his, we were still very close, and still shared a room. He wouldn't eat for me. I was only 2 years old when Roman was 14, so you could see how that went. When he was so thin that I could pick him up, I got terrified. Roman was the only good side that would listen to me, because we were friends and brothers. So I ran to 5-year-old Deceit, who rushed to tell the others. Guys! All of his lies are in caps. Roman is eating and is very healthy, because of all the nutritious meals he had. He had got plenty of rest. He's fully well and he'll stay alive if we ignore him. Logan and Patton appeared in the room. Patton was on the verge of tears as a half-dead prince laid in front of him. Logan then quickly sprung into action, conjuring up water, and I don't know what the other shirts were called. There's so many tools. There were ropey things and computer things. I was on the verge of tears as I watched Patton sob, but then I remembered the one thing that Desi told me. Deceity. I'm just gonna say that. Bad guys don't cry. I walked to Patton, comforting him in his time of need. I had nothing better to do, and maybe it would help if Patton is calm. Patton is Thomas's emotions, and the others are Thomas, so if Patton isn't doing well, the others are not. I went to the father figure figment and rubbed his back in circles, like Desi did to me when I was crying. He looked at me and gave me a sad smile. Desi told us that you were the one to warm him. Thank you. He trailed off. I know he didn't know my name or what I was, 'cause they always avoided me. I'm the other half of creativity. Bad creativity. I am sorry for doing bad stuffs to Thomas. I looked at the 4, 'cause he probably remembered I was bad. It's okay. I know it's your job. I was awoken from the memory from a punch of smell, vanilla. I never had one of Patton's cookies, but I didn't know what they smelled like, and that was it. He remembered the times as a child talking about the cookies when the sides liked him, before they knew he was the bad guy. When he was a child, no younger than 2 years, I know those cookies would cheer to seat up. Even if he was only for 5 minutes, I need to get him some of those cookies. I stopped and peered outside the kitchen. There was Patton stirring another batch. I'm gonna get him to move, I thought. Then I saw the puppies on the oven mitts he was wearing and had the best idea. He conjured up puppies and they landed on Patton's feet. He looked down fast and jumped back in a giant gasp. His eyes were wide and his smile was big enough to hold the puppies. I used my power to make Patton look gross, and the dogs ran, following shortly after Patton. I went up to the tray of freshly made cookie treats and grabbed 4 of them. Before I left, I used my powers again to make Patton likable to the puppies. I could see the dad character walking back with 3 dogs in his arms. I peered in my room, flopping on my bed in relief. No one knew of his powers. They just knew he had powers. I could take anything, and anything looked disgusting and utterly inappropriate. I hate my powers, but they do come in handy from time to time. Like for Halloween this past year, Roman was a mummy. I wanted to match my little brother and be more scary. So, using my powers, I made myself look like a real decaying mummy. I scared them inside, and Patton was more terrified of me than of Virgil's pet spider, and that is really saying something. I went to my bookshelf and pulled on the spine of the book that read, Handbook for the Recently Deceased. Beetlejuice is my favorite movie. The bookshelf started to turn around, and on the other side was bookshelves filled with poisons, powders, and spell books that I have collected over the years. I went to the second top shelf with the rainbow sorted powders. I looked to one of the label 5-hour energy reversed. A pinch of this will make you go into a deep 5-hour nap. This nap can recharge you for a week. I pulled it off the shelf, taking off the cork as I walked back to my bed. I poured some powder into a spoon and labeled 1 tablespoon. I took a warm cookie out of the bag and lightly sprinkled it on the baked treat. I then slipped out another cookie and placed it on my bed. I put the powdered cookie in the bag with the other cookies, and I rolled up the paper bag. I then appeared into Seat's room. It looked more gray than it usually was. His pet snake was in the tank sleeping or shedding. I couldn't tell which. I placed the bag on the bed when I figured I should also probably leave a note. I looked in the top drawer of his desk to find a cluster of different stationery. I dug deeper to find a pack of green sticky notes. I snatched the pack and a black Sharpie from his desk drawer. I wanted to show him I cared, and I think I did a good job. I appeared back in my room with a small pop, and I went to my bed. I laid down, getting ready to try my first Patton vanilla saucer TM. Oh my god. I looked at the bookshelf, remembering that I should probably turn the shelf back to normal, just in case the seat comes in. I walked up to the shelf and to find a spell book entitled Witch's Brew for Aching Square Feet. I also liked Witches by Ronald Dahl. I stuck my teeth into the cookie as an explosion of flavor hit me in the mouth. I loved every bit of it. I gobbled up the rest. Oh, what just happened? I gobbled up the rest, then put the spell book, closing the magic station. As it finally turned back into a bookshelf, a note from the other side fell to the ground. I finished my cookie and picked it up. It was a note I wrote to myself 11 years ago, when I first got my first spell book. This note reminded me why I got started in the magic spree, and I gasped. Gasp! Dramatic react. Chapter 4. Shriveling. There are some trigger warnings. I'll put them all in the description. I'm too lazy. Okay. My head hurt and all I could hear was thumping. I looked around in hopes I could find the source of this. From my pillow, there's nothing to be seen. I sat up. The room went spinning and I flopped back onto my pillow, which now felt like a brick. I turned my head to the right to look at my clock. My alarm didn't go off, so it must be late. And oh my gosh, it's 4:58 in the afternoon. I missed lunch, and now Remus would be pissed that I am late to dinner. My clothes were a bit wrinkled, but I let it be. Flying past my desk, I almost tripped on an open drawer. My desk is always neat, and the drawer was always open and cluttered. Yeah, no. I must have been sleep slithering again. I grabbed my hat off the stand and ran out the door. I couldn't feel my body as I half-consciously wobbled down the never-ending hallway. Things were spinning, but I had to get to the kitchen before I was kept up for the next year with thoughts of Remus nude or the main sides killing me. In front of the kitchen doorway, my breathing picked up by 100 miles. Tears filled my eyes, and I fell to the floor in a human ball. I started scratching my scales like I do when I worry, but this time I didn't have any physical strength to lift my head up, so I was scratching the air. I felt me violently shake, and everything went black. I woke up on the couch in our small living area with a cold cotton pad on my head. Everything was blurry, and I felt so warm. My headache was bigger, and I could feel the dry tears on my face, somehow warmer than my head. Good English! I sat up, immediately flopping back down, not having the strength to sit up. Remus's voice echoed in my ears. Lay back down, ballsack. You're sick. You just had a panic attack. You need sleep and nutrition. I tried to speak. How did I have a panic attack? Isn't that Virgil's job? It came out in one big slur, though somehow the Duke was able to understand me. Somehow I spoke the truth, too. Maybe there was no lying alternative. Well, even if you're not known for them, you could still have a panic attack. Plus, Virgil mostly does anxiety attacks, not panic attacks. The ones Virgil has are 10 times worse, though, because that is him. They got me thinking, is this how Virgil feels all the time? If that was the case, then he had a very good reason to leave. He was literally dying inside, and all we could do is make fun of him and pressure him. 10 years prior, I was walking the halls with my pet snake when I heard huffing from Virgil's room. I was only 12 at the time, and he was 2. The toddler still liked to cry when he needed something. I knocked on the door. Hey, Virgo. Are you wrong in there? He was usually responding with, I'm having a bad day, or I'm fine. Something just came up and overwhelmed me, because, Virgil. That's something he would so respond with. What was I thinking when I wrote this? He was such an adorable youngster, and I think it was Virgil that helped me realize that I love children. I waited for an answer, but this time he responded in a new way. Go away, I want to die. Now, if he was a teen or preteen, like us, that would be a normal statement. But he was a 2-year-old. For crying out loud, 2-year-olds shouldn't be saying that. Yeah. He shouldn't be saying things like that. Then again, Thomas has major anxiety, and he is 15. I tried to open the door, but it was locked. I kept jingling the handle, and I said, trying to stay calmly, Senior, I hate you. Just lock the door for me. I heard a sob and a shut of a door. He was hiding in his closet. Okay, I'm staying out here. I teleported inside of the anxious one's room, and it changed a bit. His walls were darker, and they had more cracks. He has invited some bugs and rodents as guests, and there's a slight fog coming from the floor. I slowly went to the closet to pull open the door. Hey, that rhymes. Floor, door, floor. I'm gonna stop. I know that he couldn't teleport out of here because sides can't teleport until they're 5. I knocked on the closet door and tried to repeat more comfortingly. I can't English. Hello. Virgil, I hate you with a burning passion. Please don't come out. I want you to stay quiet about your feelings. Nothing at all. I tried to open the closet door, but it was locked. Why did we put a lock on the closet door? I tried my razor-sharp teeth and licked them with my sharp tongue. I pulled with all my might and finally opened the closed door. Virgil was on the ground, crying blood. There were scratches up and down his arms and legs. I was I was the second youngest side under the main sides, excluding Logan, who was born when Thomas was 6. I had no clue what to do. Roman was like 15. Was 15 like Thomas, and was the oldest side. And I picked up Virgil and showed him to the prince. Roman, I know we talk all the time, but I know exactly what is going on, and I want Virgil to die. I felt tears forming warmly in my eyes. Even though I was only 12, I knew that I was the main guy, a tough guy, the bad guy. I wouldn't not cry. I couldn't cry, especially in front of Roman. He would never let me live it down. Roman had a look of worry, concern, and pondering. He finally said something. I need to get Logan. He will know exactly what to do. He popped and was back with not even 3 seconds, with the second pop, which belonged to Logan, right after his. Logan looked down at the poor anxious baby. He then said words that I was hoping not to hear, especially when they were talking about my little baby. Thomas, being a moody, anxious teenager, had an anxiety attack and resulted in Virgil not knowing what to do or was going on, but still knowing that something was wrong. He then cut himself and realized to stop the pain that Thomas was having him feel, so he continued doing it until he couldn't anymore. I looked at Logan shocked. How could my little baby boy do this? I am only 12, but sides grow faster than humans, so it took 3 to 6 years to grow into a mature side. He will be mature grown up side in the next couple of years, Logan said in his usual monotone voice. Let's say monotone, but it says monotone. I couldn't believe what the teacher was saying. My bundle of joy was going to be an anxiety adult. I meant anxious. Why does it say anxiety adult? That's stupid. That's so stupid. They won't listen to me in just a few short years. Not that I'm trying to take your child, but Patton doesn't know about the child yet, and has been fantasizing about holding a child for ages. He's very good at emotional healing. Maybe it would be good if he stayed in Patton's room for the next 2 to 3 days. I mean, as long as you're okay with it. I didn't want to admit it, but Patton would be better at making him feel better than me. I silently handed the baby over and popped back to my room. 2 days later. I finally get Virgil back today. I wake up extra early and start to decorate his room. There are black and purple streamers in his room, and I put plastic Halloween spiders on every surface. I made him a cake out of some of the leftover chocolate that Roman gave to me as a gift. The main sides didn't like us, but they helped every once in a while. It was 11:30. Time to get Virgil. I teleport myself to the door of the father tray. I began to knock. A smiling father figure is standing at the door. When did he start wrapping a cardigan around his neck? Hey, kiddo, he said in a whisper of greeting. The kiddo is sleeping, but you could come in and sit down and we could talk about his education plan. I wanted to know why he needed an education plan. He was a trade that only had one job, and that job was to be anxiety. Do you need an education to be anxiety? Come and sit, friend, Patton said, sitting in a recliner that was next to a couch. That was a couch next to it. Yeah, I needed to go to grammar school. It was like what you'd see on Ellen's show, but light blue. Patton went on about how he always wanted to take care of a child. He was so thrilled to be a dad for a weekend. Virgil slowly woke up and looked at us. He reached out his arms on the Where was I at? On the verge of tears. Dad, he said softly, but we could still hear in a shaking voice. He has called me Dada before, so I started walking, but then Patton picked him up, cradling him in his arms. What's wrong, Verge? Bad dream? He shook his head, yes, and dug his head deep into Patton's chest. I don't know if it was anger or hurt, but I felt something. The pain of your beloved child. What? The pain of your beloved child loving a weekend caretaker more than you. The anger of a caretaker for manipulating your child. The anger at yourself for letting something like this happen. At least he is healthy. Then I thought, no, he is my child. He should be crying in my arms. I should be doing the comforting. Not wanting to upset my angel, I gestured to Patton that I wanted to hold the toddler. He smiled softly and then talked into a whisper. You're gonna go home with your daddy now, okay? I held out my hand. What? I held my hand and I held the shivering child. I took off my coat and wrapped it around the anxious baby. He then waved bye to Patton as we popped back to our normal lives. 8 years later, so this was 10 years ago, this is 8 years, and then correlates to Virgil being with the dark sides for 2 years, because haha, yeet. This was before the 3-year anniversary, so. My precious little angel is now 10. I just turned 20. Okay, that doesn't make sense when it goes to math. If he's 10, he should be 22, because of what we read in the last chapter, but okay. I'm dumb, so haha. We were closer than ever. We cuddled and watched movies, played ball, and I learned how to handle anxiety attacks and cuts when he was asleep with Logan. I was a happy life. Yeah, good for you. I could English. I wouldn't change anything, but of course, life had to change it for me then. I woke up the morning feeling refreshed and confident. Virgil was 10, but since sides age faster with their minds and not their bodies, he had the anxiety in mind and action about a 15-year-old. I went to his room to check up on him. The team was usually still in bed, and I woke up around this time. I walked in and went to the bed to see he wasn't there. I panicked. My child was gone. Then, that is when I heard a soft pop sound from the closet. I opened the door to see Virgil. I quickly hugged him and squeezed him till my arms hurt. Then I squeezed him more. He has never gone missing before. Virgil, I knew where you were. I was so calm. I was so clam. I could have found you. Dad, I am fine. I just went to my calm down corner. His calm down corner was a small room with soft music and a pillowy environment that was specifically proven to calm anxiety. Do you need to stay silent about something? You only go when you don't need to wake up late and to go? That is so you. He then gave me the dead glare. I am fine. I looked at his pocket. There was a note. I snatched the paper out of his pocket. Dad, no, don't read it. You could share anything with me. I told you to start writing out your stuff in a space so that you can explain it better. I opened the letter. Dear Virgil, Darvin Hansen. I loved our get-together. Doing the yoga class together was super exciting. He does, yoga? I really hoped that I was able to calm your nerves after your reeling thoughts. I love you so much. God, he's taking my advanced vows and self-love. Stay strong, Patton. I felt nothing but pain when I read who it was from. When did you end talking to Patton? I said, calmly, not having him panic, but stern enough to make him to get at the point that I was upset. When I was 2, after we left, he sent me a letter. They were mostly drawings since I didn't know how to read. Then when I got my teleportation, I started visiting him, and he showed me how to read and write. He took me to yoga, and he got me this fidget cube to play with when I felt I needed it. Virgil looked down and pulled out a clammy hand with a solid black cube and buttons and levers and joysticks. I didn't want to overload the child, so I came up with a good lie. I am not heading to the field to collect berries. I don't want you to stay and eat breakfast. Do you want to stay? I'll eat breakfast. Thanks for being so chill about me talking to Patton. He helps. He gave me a kiss and pulled his beads up from his neck to his ears. He turned the corner, and I knew that I had to act fast. So I just want to show off this fan art. Look at this. I just included fan art in my chapter, said look good and look at the. So yeah. Could I go back now? Please? Let me. Can't hit it. Okay. Chapter 5. Finishing the flashback from Chapter 4. Okay, trigger warnings. Suicide, cursing, Remus. And yes, Remus is a trigger warning. Second part of Chapter 4. The video is my first video on my new YouTube. This was one of the first chapter I wrote after I got this channel. Oh my god. This is such like a take back since, I just got my 100th subscriber. I appeared in Pennant's room ready to pick a fight. I knocked on the door with a big bang. Roman, I know you're having trouble. Just please don't break down the door. I heard Pennant getting closer to the door. Here, I made cookies. We could talk about He stopped his sentence when he saw me at the door. His smile faded and then slowly came back again. I was waiting for a greeting before I went off. I could feel my head get hot with anger and my body shake with rage. Hey, Deceit, there's something I need to talk to you about. I could not hold the pain in any longer. Well, guess what, Patton? Virgil's not my child. I like the way you have been acting, like you're the father to this little boy. He wasn't mine. He isn't mine. And it never will be mine. You hear me? Beep. I got extremely frightened when I realized that Patton had put a curse sensor over his room. I used the B word before in the other chapter. Why did I censor it this time? The whole time I was in Patton's face, looking at him dead into the eye. He kept backing away, but I kept moving forward. I had him trapped in the corner of his room as he burst into tears. Before I could continue, Virgil had teleported to the room. He was leaned back against the door, traumatized. He was crying. He looked at me and scrunched his face. He walked towards me, turning red. His eyeshadow was washing off with each tear. He then spoke. Really? I'm not worth all of this. Patton is a wonderful father figure, and he is so sweet and kind. He was helping you raise me. He kept me from dying years ago. Why can't you just share me? I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I want to socialize with more people than just you. You're so clingy and expect me to make friends and be successful, but I need different viewpoints and maybe a different caretaker. Virgil walked up to Patton and comforted him, rubbing his back in small circles. I know that Logan had taught him that rubbing the back in small circles of a person who is stressed, angry, or upset helped them calm down. He also knows that because it has been done to him multiple times. Virgil gave Patton a tight hug, still continuing his hand motion. He gave me the death stare, and I thought that this would be an appropriate time to leave when Roman and Green Roman with the mustache walked in. Roman went to Virgil and Patton with some tissue and a book of some kind. The green one came up to me. I decided to ignore what was going on and ask who he was. Can you not tell me who you are? It will probably be very easy to explain, but have I seen you before? And you look old around here. What? You just lack proper English. Let's start from the beginning. He then silently sang a song about Adam and Eve, Pixar references, and inappropriate mentions. Oh my god, that's so good. Like, just Patton's over here sobbing with Virgil, and Roman's here trying to comfort them, and then Remus decides to sing Forbidden Fruit to Deceit to explain who he is. Oh my gosh, yes. I was at first scared, and then I realized he was talking about death in the book of Genesis. He was a second dark side. I am not Deceit, currently the proud father of Virgil. His eyes then grew wide. Okay, I get it. You're the deceitful trait. Wanna hang? They don't understand my humor. It is my job to do it, and it just spills out of my mouth. I wish I could help what rated language comes out of my throat. I don't understand. Plus, before this event, I think everyone will just love me. Want to come over and never stay? Remus looked at me, to his face softening.
I would love to.
Overview. Remus moved to Virgil's old room, and Virgil went with Patton permanently. Deceit can never forgive himself for his mistakes. Virgil never lets down his grudge with deceit. Roman, Remus's best friend and brother, now hates him because he's friends with the snake. The main sides didn't let deceit come near Virgil, not even to apologize. Back to present day. Finally. Oh, no. No. And there's an ad. I didn't finish the last chapter. Great. Fantastic. Wow. I hate this. Just kind of need to hit the X. Hit the X. I don't want to tap the ingredient. I want to keep reading. No. Back to present day. I started feeling a stream of guilt wash down through my body. Remus? He looked at me and nodded for me to continue. Are our lives put together? He looked at me with sympathy and gulped.
Yes, snakes. Our lives are a mess. The one thing to remember is that we are not doing this for anyone but Thomas. We are designed for his pussy, and we will stay here. Now, I know you have questions, and I know you're stressed, but I need you to sleep. Can you do that for me?
My eyes were fluttering.
No. Good.
Remus looked up and down.
I love you, Dee.
I was falling asleep when I managed, hate you too. And this is just an FYI that I'm not shipping Remus and Deceit, and that was just a love and comfort of a friend. If they play an ad again, I'm about to say, oof. Okay, chapter 6 Awake. Once again, lovely fan art. I just love it, and that's why I included. Now we just need this person to do one of Remus, and it'll be like, oof. Oof. Okay, first off, let me just appreciate the fan art. Yep. Okay, trigger warnings, Remus shouting, panic attack, in a different way than you'd expect. Okay, yeah. I woke up in the middle of the night, quite refreshed. Most of my headache was gone, but I was hungry. I don't want to eat, though. I never want to eat, though. What do I have to eat for? Myself? I don't matter, though. So what would be so that would just be plain stupid. Slightly referencing Mulan, I want a kid worth fighting for. I felt whole when I was with a kid. Someone looking up to me and loving me for who I am. When Virgil loved me, I felt complete. Without a kid, I am nothing. Without being a parent, I am no one. I keep bringing up the word though. Though is a very strong word that can be used for good or evil. Like, even though I can't write it back, I can practice, or even though everyone says I'm worthy, I feel useless. Remus's POV. I went back to the living room to check on Deceit. It was just about midnight, and he was sitting and staring at the wall.
Hey, Slithers, you okay?
What was that voice I just gave Remus? Oh my god. He looked up at me and noticed that both my eyes had turned purple. It was actually quite terrifying to see the outer edge of his eyes look like mine. He nodded his head and took a long blink.
You're tired and hungry. Let me make you something to eat.
He leaned on my stomach and shook his head.
Deceit.
You need to eat something. You're gonna hurt yourself if you don't eat anything. He then shook his head and slowly dozed off on top of mine. What? I thought she was gonna go get him something to eat. What is my writing? Please tell me what my writing is. Oh, okay. Deceit fell asleep on top of Remus. Okay. With the other hand, I placed a new cold ice pack on his head. He flinched, but then, bit by bit, he went back into a relaxed state. It has been only about a couple of days, and his power developing state had gotten terrible. I need help. Next day, I woke up bright and early before Deceit was going to even think about getting off that couch. I left with a small pop and landed in front of Roman's door. Even though he started hating me after teaming up with Deceit, he will still help. I knocked on the door with her secret knock, and then I heard footsteps. Roman's POV. I was just getting done with my hair routine when a knock was at the door. Not just any knock, though, the knock of a brotherhood. I walked up to the door, not knowing what to think. Should I be worried because he hasn't talked to me in so long, or should I be angry with him for betraying me? I took a deep breath and opened the door. I smiled and took a whiff of his pickled pop logs. Pop logs? Pop logs? Yep, pop logs. The smell came from not only his pits, but his mouth. I didn't even realize what it was I was doing, but next thing I knew, I was in the green one's arms. Are you okay, pain in my ass? I looked up into my brother's eyes. He said mean words, but it wasn't his fault. I mean, them in a nice kind of way. I decided to come out clean. I thought you hated me. I thought you despised me. His eyes went wide, and I softened. I thought you didn't like me because I saw Deceit. Oh, I'm supposed to be voicing Remus. I thought you didn't like me because I saw Deceit as one of the good people. Remix then hugged me tighter. Oh yeah, Remix. Oh. Remix. What is my spelling help? That reminds me. I need your help desperately. We then pulled away from each other, crushing hug, and looked deep into each other's eyes with concern. Remus began to speak, his heavy accent washed away from his normal voice. It sounded a lot like Logan, on a bit of helium. Deceit started his power development stage a couple of days ago, and he's already been trying to attempt suicide. He won't eat a single crumb, and he refuses to sleep. He even had a panic attack. I was under shock. I didn't get that bad until a week before it was over. And how you said he was only had his for about a week? Remus looked down at his feet like they were suddenly interesting. Yes, about a week. He still had at least 5 months to go. That is why I need your help. We need help from the others so you could stay alive and healthy. Remus never looked so bad. I'll get the others so we can have a meeting. Being honest, all of us but anxiety will be on board. He's still scared from that night. He won't live it down. He cries to sleep at night knowing that he hurt Deceit and him hurting a father figure stronger than the snake. That makes no sense. Okay, but I can't English, so... Does it mean Deceit is stronger than Patton? Thank you. I was snapped out of my thoughts by a thankful brother. His face lit up and he smiled, but he still looked like he hadn't slept in days. No problem, little bro. Remus's POV. No problem, little bro. He hasn't been proud to be my brother in years. Then I heard a scream coming from down the hall. It was Deceit. I ran down the hall screaming whatever came in my mouth. 9/11, rope tree, snake murder, snake suicide, snake extinction, snake twisting. I fell to the ground in tears as Roman bent down to help me. It felt like I was in a bowl of fire. Everything around me hurts. Everything hurts. I feel so warm yet cold. I can feel shaking. Snake dying, snake dying, snake dying. Roman came down the hall and hugged me tight. He rubbed his fingers through my hair. You need to take care of yourself before you take care of others. Snake dying, is it okay? He dashed down the hall, me in his arms. I could tell he forgot all about the snake, for his focus was on the octopus. Roman POV. I know both my brother and I need to check on Deceit. I picked up Remus and ran down the hall to our old commons. Remus was incredibly light, like 2 lights. How long has it been since he'd eaten anything? Before even looking at the seat, I put Remus down on the chair. He pointed past me and tried to get up. I pushed him back against the chair. Let me handle it. Remus kept trying to get up, but I kept pushing him down. You are so unhealthy. Sit and let me help. I hear a whimper. I turn around and there was a sight I couldn't believe. Cliffhanger, except it's not because I already finished the book. Also, just look at this fan art. Chapter 7, Going Under, and wow, it's really hard to read a whole book in one sitting out loud. Whew, my voice hurts. Trigger warning, blood, suicide, murder, flashbacks, Remus, blood, maybe more. Maybe more. There's a good chance that there'll be more, but maybe. Roman's POV. I turned around and there was a sight that I couldn't believe. The seat was on the floor, knife covered in blood on the floor near his hand. More blood pouring from his chest, arms, and legs. It also looked like he was crying both regular tears and blood. Wow, so much blood. What? He was shaking and squirming around on the floor. I rushed over and knelt in front of the bleeding snake. That is when I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. Without the second thought, I spoke up. Be right back. Before my brother could say a word, I popped out of the room and into Logan's room. Hello, Roman. How may I assist you today? Come to the Dark Side Lounge. Now we need you. Logan's POV. Usually Roman is super chill. Is that the correct usage? Anyway, I knew something was obviously wrong with Roman, so I teleported myself to the Dark Side Lounge. When I saw the scene in a gory state, I immediately felt guilt, but also a touch of excitement because a couple months ago, I read a book about stopping fast photo bleeding and wanted to try it out. Call me a bad person, but still. I mean, it's you, Logan. You're gonna be excited about doing surgery on someone because you're Logan, you boyo. Give me gauze, ice pack, bucket, washcloth, and another bucket, but this one filled with water. Also 2 water bottles. Roman popped out of the room, and I went and sat next to Remus, who was now on the floor next to the seat. I started to rip his shirt open so I could get a few of chest cuts. I also took a pair of scissors that was on the table and cut his jacket to get to his arms. His legs were minor scratches and weren't in as much need as the chest and arms. Roman appeared back in the room with all the supplies I asked for. Why did I say supplies? Like, it's 2 separate words. It's one word. The empty bucket full of supplies in one hand and the bucket full of water in the other. He hands me the bucket of supplies first, and I immediately snatch it out of his hand. My hand touched his glove, and that reminded me. Can I get some surgeon gloves? I asked it more as a command as a question. Roman came back quick as a flash with a pair of transparent blue gloves wrapped in a hairnet. Thank you. I put on the supplies and got to work, bandaging and cutting and cleansing. Can you get my stitch kit? It's on my desk by the lamp. Roman disappeared and reappeared as he did the last time. His expression has stayed the same as when I first told him to come to the lounge. He was still and ready to cry. I know, Prince. Not only because we are the same person. Wait, what? When did it flip to... It still says Logan's POV. When did it go to Remus's? I know, Prince. Not only because we're the same person, but because my bedroom is right next to his. Because of this, I know things. The others... Oh, yeah, Logan as in, like, they're the same person because they're both Thomas. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Like Roman sings to himself to sleep at night, he also sings and dances and put on many shows to distract himself from problems and other troubling situations. He talks to himself a lot and has imaginary friends. He had his fake friends since Remus left to be with the snake. The blood was all over me now, and there was gauze and pieces of cloth everywhere. I got the last stitch in his leg and flopped back in exhaustion. I grabbed the 2 water bottles I requested and chugged them both down. Hydration is the key to a healthy life and successful in every field. I conjure up a wheelchair and Roman lifts him gently and places him in the chair. I get up and wheel him to his bedroom. And my God, did he need a maid. Remus's POV. I was following behind Roman, sort of hiding behind him like he was my shield. Which is kind of true. Like, haven't you realized that Roman's logo is a shield and Remus's is a sword? Like, technically, Roman is Remus's shield. Literally. We turned into the room. What in the world happened to it? There was claw marks all over the floor and walls. From what I could see, his bed was ripped up and everything was scattered everywhere. Right before making it to his bed, I tripped on the floor. Under his bed was a single box. I pulled it out. The box was about the size of 2 shoe boxes. The top of the box had a label and Sharpie marker, open in case of emergency. I was about to put it back when I remembered, this is an emergency. Before I could do anything with the cardboard, Patton and Virgil come in. Patton comes in a tray of his vanilla sugar cookie, and Virgil is slouching behind him with a look of hatred on his face. I pull the box out and place it at the floor of Deceit's bed, and where an empty bucket was placed. What is that, kiddo? Patton looked like a 5-year-old seeing a ladybug. His eyes were wide with wonder. I have no idea. Only one way to find out. I opened the box. There was a letter on top of its contents. In bold letter, the top paper it read, "Please read before looking at contents." I started reading it out loud to the group. Dear Remus, you most likely found this because I am dead, and you came to my room to look around. In doing so, you tripped and saw the box under my bed. In curiosity, you opened it. This is exactly what happened. Is he a mind reader? In his box, I have some things that Virgil and I shared. Some are pictures of us, some are art projects we did, others are ideas we shared, and some are just randoms that mean a lot. Now I pass, and please take care of Virgil for me. He may have stopped liking me, but he will always be my son. I loved him with all my heart. He didn't feel the same, even though he hates my guts. Share these with Virgil. I want him to know how sorry I am. Love the mistaker maker himself, Deceit. I stopped reading and sat there staring at the letter. It felt like I wasn't in reality anymore. How long ago did he write this? Why did he write this? Also, why didn't he give these things to Virgil in the first place? I look up. Roman is softly saying something. Logan just has a blank stare. Patton's on the verge of tears. And Virgil looks so defeated and done. His skin grew almost as pale as Deceit's. His eyeshadow got darker and he slouched a bit more. I'm gonna go back to my room. It did the weird thing that happens sometimes when Virgil is extremely anxious and his voice is deep and echoey. He turned to the door and made it. He reached for the handle when another note appeared. I see Virgil is trying to escape after reading the letter in the box. Have him stay around and see the contents in the box. Virgil read this out loud, his dark voice still blaring through the room. And an ad. He dragged his feet against the floor, and he started crying. He went into his father's arms and bawled. Patton rubbed his back in circles and used his hushed voice to speak. He then nodded and pulled at me and pulled out the contents of the box. I never knew how much stuff a tiny box could hold, especially with the stuff it contained. And we're officially at an hour. And we're not even halfway through the book, so. Chapter 8, Memory Garage. Buff's music video, which I cannot get working, and there's no trigger warning, so still Mrs. POV. I couldn't believe what was in the box. There are photos of important events of Virgil's from his childhood, like learning how to ride a bike and his first tooth that had fallen out. I keep digging. There was a notebook of sonnets that were more cringe than hardcore, like the one Virgil writes today. I was about to read one aloud, but I didn't want to make Virgil feel worse. I continued as I felt people come behind me. Logan was to my left, by Deceit's head, half watching Deceit and half looking at the contents of my box. Roman, as the tallest side, was behind me. He wasn't really looking at the pictures and writings. He was looking at me. I figured out that the talking to himself was actually singing. Then there was Patton, who was sitting on the ground next to me, holding Virgil tight. When me and Patton used to look at pictures, he would give funny stories relating to the picture and point of view of how we were cute and precious. This time he was just trying to hold in tears. I couldn't blame him. I was too. Though for once in my life, I was weaker than the heart. I put down the box and fell on my knees crying. I sobbed and sobs. I could feel Patton jerk up. I don't know if it was from confusion, surprise, or ready to comfort me, but he did. Logan turned away from the seat and rubbed my back in a rhythm on my back. Good. He rubbed my back in a rhythm on my back. Good. Just fantastic grammar. My God, the voice was soothing. Even though it was soothing, I kept crying. The dam was broken, and it would take years to build it back up. I felt defeated. All I ever did was try to protect the seat, but in the long run, I guess I hurt him. I loved him so much. My thoughts were interrupted by something familiar, but unexpected. If we could see tomorrow, what of your plans? No one can live in sorrow. Ask all your friends. Times that you took in stride, they're back in demand. I was the one who was washing the blood off your hands. Don't cry tonight. I still love you, baby. Don't cry tonight. Don't cry tonight. And the reason I'm not actually singing is because I don't know the melody. I chose because I used to know it, but I don't anymore. It was Roman. He was singing Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses. When we were little, he sang that to me whenever my intrusive thoughts got out of control. That was starting to happen, and he knew. I then couldn't control myself. With a scratchy voice and sniffles, I began to sing the final part. Don't you cry tonight. I still love you, baby. Don't cry tonight. Don't cry tonight. There's a heaven above you, baby. And don't you cry tonight. We ended the song on a hug, and we burst into tears in the embrace of each other. He then went up to Logan and whispered in his ear. Logan then nodded and turned towards Patton and Virgil, who were both crying. Not only crying, but Patton was shaking, and he looked very ill. I didn't have much time to observe my surroundings before Roman popped us into his bedroom. I walked into his room. It felt like a familiar hug. It was warm and comforting. I spent the first couple of years of my life in here, and I loved my brother to the heavens. Roman was sitting on the couch and patted it, indicating he wanted me to sit down. I slowly trotted over to the couch, taking in all my surroundings. The bits of glitter floating through the air was relaxing, and I forgot how much I loved to chase the sparkles. I sat on the couch, and the cushion sank when I let my body weight down on it. Remus? I looked up to see Roman's face. It was stained with mascara from Wait. Roman wears makeup? I haven't seen your or talked to you in years. It's supposed to be you, not your. Ack. I forget being pissed at you for this long. I love you, and I think we should blow up the Dark Side Lounge and build 2 new rooms so you guys could come and stay over here. I was so excited, but my face must have told otherwise. We can have movie nights and game nights and take walks, and Patton can cook the best feasts for us, and we can fight dragon witches together. A smile slowly crept on my face. I flung towards my brother and gave him the largest hug. I almost forgot completely about the seat, until I thought of us living over here together. What about the seat? Roman's eyes got wide and then small again. He could get a room to do everything with us also. I stood up. No, I mean, will he be okay from the stitches? And the blood. I stopped myself from saying blood. If I get worried, I can start spitting not wanted thoughts, and I really don't need more to think about. I don't know. This news had me shook. They really didn't know. I thought Logan studied this for like 4 years when I was still here. I could use the excuse that he forgot, but he is 100% logical thinking. He never forgets what he learns. One of the perks of being the logical side. I sighed. I sighed. I'm just gonna be quiet. We do not know yet, but I sure we will find a solution at some point. We will get our Snick back. Snick was what Roman called to see when we were younger, and it was the best thing to hear him say that again.
Want to watch a movie? Perhaps a musical movie? I was ready to tell him what I wanted to watch when he put in what I wanted to watch already, Guys and Dolls. I sat back down and curled in his lap. As the intro played, I fell to sleep peacefully. This is taking way too long. Okay, we're at an hour and 10 minutes, and just look at this fantastic fan art. He hates it, and it's amazing. It's like the cutest thing ever. Okay, so Chapter 9, Inside Scoop. We're back in Deceit's point of view, after 5 ever. Trigger warning, blood, knives, nasty language. I tried to open my eyes, but I couldn't. It was like I was trapped in a nightmare. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape. How was there trying to hurt me? Good job Englishing. Why couldn't he just see how much I loved him? Instead of trying to understand, all he did was take a knife from the kitchen and come up to me. I wanted to back away, but he tied me up. Where was I? When was I tied up? When did he become so violent? Hot, sticky streams of tears streamed down my face like waterfalls. He took the knife and cut it through my chest. When my chest was bleeding streams, he went to my arms, then my legs. He set the knife down on the floor next to me and ran. I felt Disney. Everything went black. Need to reach over here. Gotta reach. Remus's POV. This was the 3-month anniversary of Deceit being knocked out. He was still breathing, so he was alive. But he hasn't moved. I have an idea. But I should talk to Patton about it. I popped in the front of the blue figure's door. I did 3 solid knocks. Come in, kiddo. I heard footsteps get closer and closer to the door, followed by the jiggling of a door handle. Hey, my beautiful son, how are you doing this lovely gay? I was a bit confused, but then I remembered that Roman set up a game to say the word gay, replacing other words in a sentence. Well, I know we won't be able to fully wake him up, but I have an idea of how to somewhat wake up Deceit. Or at least have it so we could chat with him. Patton gave a very concerned but soft look. Kiddo, I don't think this will work. You tried so many times. Maybe we should just wait. I just had to use what I was good at to get what I want. 46% of people who aren't treated from a coma do not wake up. So are you gonna let me explain, you pussy? Or are you gonna reject a fucking idea you did not even hear about yet? Patton's face hardened a bit, but he thought it was because I couldn't help it. The percent is wrong, but I just knew he wasn't gonna check. So I was thinking I can use my powers, and I whispered the rest in his ear so no one could hear. Hey, that rhymes. Ear, here. Hey. I know he would say something to the others, but I didn't want anyone to hear it come out of my mouth. You can do that? Patton particularly jumped at the words I had just spoken. Yes, I can. How else do you think Thomas gets nightmares? I said the last part with a sneer. Wow. I approve of that plan, son. Let's go write it out in a Google Slides presentation and show it to the others. I Googled out the excitement in Patton's voice. It wasn't going to be that fun, unless he was excited about getting Deceit back. In that case, he has a good reason to have joy. We then, that's proper grammar. We then spent the rest of the day at the computer making different graphs and theories about what would go down. While I did the heavy work, like making the plans and coordinating the graphs, Patton picked up the fonts and the colors in the background. Logan is going to be super impressed when he sees all the well thought out plans with puppies in the back. Oh my god. When did I write that? Oh my gosh. It was 8:30 at night, and we had just got done with dinner. Patty nudged me to tell the other to meet in Logan's room. Hey, Logan. He looked up from his book he was reading, which was about concussions. He had been reading about them endlessly since Deceit had knocked out. Yes, Remus? He was stern, very stern. I was wondering if Pat and I could use your projector and present an idea we had on how to get Deceit back. Patton then joined in a high-pitched child voice. We worked on it all day. We worked all day on it, and it was the bestest plan ever. Logan huffed a bit. Bestest isn't a proper word from the English dictionary, but you may use my projector. Patton did the wildest smile, and I forgot end quotations, but Patton did the wildest smile at me, and I wanted to just grab him and drag him to a snuggle with me forever. 30 minutes later, Patton and I were just finishing up setting up the computer to the presentation device. I pressed the power button, and our first slide came up. I was so nervous. Patton agreed to the plan, but what if the others found a flaw in it and we didn't? Logan has been reading all those books. What if he finds that it will make it worse if we try to disturb him? What if Roma gets bored and insults the slides? What if Virgil gets upset and lashes out? I don't want him any more upset. Patton began with an intro to the other three. Kind gentlemen, may I present to you a well-thought-out plan by Patton and Remus Sanders. He then clicked the button on the laptop to convert to the next slide. It was what the overall goal with the golden retriever as the backdrop. Roman's face lit up with seeing the dog in a crown. That dog is so me. I gave my brother a glare, telling him to ignore the dog. We then went to the next slide with the actual plan. It read, to save Deceit, Remus will use his dream jumper powers to go into Deceit's dream and talk to him and work out his feelings. Then he will find the injury from the inside. The whole time he will have a hidden camera on him to see his every move and hear everything that is going on. He will then stay in there for as long as needed to help Deceit to give Deceit the strength to wake up. He can deliver food, water, clean clothes, and love. Sadly, he cannot bring humans with him, so we'll all be up to the Duke with our input from the control center. Logan blinked a couple times. Did you guys really come up with that? Here we go. Logan was going to tell us our flaws. That is a very thought-out plan, and I'm sure it will work. I blinked a couple times at that. Logan thought I had a good idea. I stood in the front of the seat. Do you really want to do this? Roman asked from behind. Yes, for Deceit. I then teleported to his dream, and right as I did so, I seen Virgil cry a tear. It's drop a tear, come on, I can't do anything around here. So here's a picture that I thought correlated with the scene very nicely. And look at that beautiful fan art. It's amazing. Remusy boys being the Remusy boy, the CD boys being the CD boy, and all the boyo things are going on, and it's amazing. So after this chapter, we'll finally be halfway through. Oh my gosh. So we're just gonna slowly but surely. Deceit's POV. I was laying on the ground or floating, I couldn't tell at this point. I wanted to continue trying, but my eyes were dry as the desert. I'm done with giving up. Weird quotation thing. But I'm also done with trying. I miss my friend. Why is everywhere I look, it look black as night? Yep. Bad English, buddy. That is when I see it. A flicker of green from the distance. I want to run towards it, but alas, I cannot move from the spot I am in, so all I could do is call out, Remus! Remus, to your right! Look to your right! His head sharply turns and sees me. He runs towards me and slides to the ground next to me. He was crying. He actually seemed glad to see me. Snake dead. 9/11. Poison cookies. 10 years in military camp. Remus was doing his thing where he lists off random things when he had a breakdown. I used to last time I think to fling myself in his arms, and we cried together. I brought up crying a lot in this book. Oh my gosh. I don't think I ever have been happier getting slapped with the depressing items than right now. Then Remus turned around and he had Remy's bag. Ho, win the world. What? Oh, it's how in the world. Okay. How in the world did Remy let him touch his bag?
let alone take it. Then I realized I was probably imagining Remus because I missed him too much. To see if he was real, I asked a very important question. Hey Remus, how did you get here? He sighed a very long and hard sigh, and he looked right into my eyes. I've never told you what my power is. Here it is. Oh yeah, here it is. He's going to tell me what his power is. I can go in and out of dreams and twist and alter them. This explains how Remus is always predicting what Thomas will dream about when he has nightmares. It comes out roughly in depth, but I do ask, does Roman make Thomas's good dreams then? His face softens and I manage to get a chuckle out of him. Not a sinister chuckle either, a legit chuckle that made me want to laugh too. Yes, Sadie, that is correct. I then felt tingly, like my body was disintegrating. Remus disappeared. I was once again alone until I couldn't see my body anymore. I blinked a couple times. Then I saw Patton, Roman, Logan, and Virgil. They were all looking at me from above. They were in a circle that shifted when Remus entered the scene. Who happened? Logan was the first to respond. You cut yourself, which resulted in becoming unconscious for 3 months. I was shocked because I never cut myself. Virgil did. It slowly came back to me. I was excited at first to see that Virgil was waiting for me to wake up, but now I remembered that he tried to kill me. I then spoke in a stern voice. Get away from me! Ten's face got concerned, and he pushed Virgil behind his back. What happened, kiddo? I didn't cut myself. He cut me. I remember it clear as day. It looked like they all wanted to tell me I was a psychopath. But then Logan spoke up. Deceit, I have a question. I felt faint and laid back down, but I was able to respond. No, Logan? He then cleared his throat and continued. When Virgil stabbed you, did it feel like you were half asleep and Virgil seemed taller and more frightening? I had to think for a second. It was such a long time ago. Now that you say nothing, no. No, he didn't. Well, then Virgil nor yourself hurt you. Logan responded quickly, and without hesitation, everyone in the room gasped loudly. I can't English. Then who could have done it, tech weenie? Logan shrugged off by the schoolyard insult from Roman and answered his question. It is something that happens to sides right before dying of malnutrition, lack of sleep, and lack of love. I remember from when Roman, Patton, and Virgil's experiences. Logan trailed off. Do you have your powers yet, Deceit? I was so ashamed that I didn't have my powers yet. Yes, I said, trailing off quietly, as if a 5-year-old girl was admitting she was in trouble. Then that explains it. When Virgil cut you, you were unconsciously harming yourself, so you didn't necessarily want to die. It was more of a thing your brain wanted to do. But you didn't realize you wanted, or you just didn't want, and your brain was so exhausted that it chose for you. Okay, I can't type. Logan was having fun with this. I could tell by the look in his eyes. I got a glimpse of Virgil, who was crying to Patton's shoulder. It was hard to tell if Patton noticed because he was more focused on me. Patton stepped forward and gave me a big hug. I never thought I would even get a smile out of him, let alone a hug. I broke down myself, knowing that someone actually cares about me. People actually care about me. Me. I'm trash. I wonder why they do. Then, when I saw Virgil look offended. Don't know what that means, but sure. When I decided to be the bigger person. Hey, Virg, I said in a scruffy voice. Wanna come and join us? He scoffed. Why? You hate me. You always have hated me. and will continue hating me after I realized that I left, and now I realize that I broke you. You did so much for me. I don't want to snap you at you even more. Even with that, Virgil was gone, and Patton lost his grip on me when he heard Virgil's reaction. I felt my heart pulled down when Virgil left. I looked into Patton's eyes, then snapped away wildly. Even though I haven't stood in months, I was able to walk fine. Also, I felt great. Before, I felt sick and stuff. Now I am healthier than I was in a while. Even though I felt fine, my anger and depression got the best of me, and I went to my wall and started kicking and punching and squirming. Virgil was so cruel. I just want a child to love and care for. That is when I heard it. There was a small whine from the closet. I stood up and slowly crept towards the doors. I reached out to the handle and tugged on it. The doors creaked and I flipped the switch. There was an orange baby in a woven basket. There's no name tag. I just know the color is orange. I picked it up and giggled. Oh my god, how I loved that feeling. The baby's laughter brightened me, and I sat on my bed with it. I conjured up a bottle and went to the fridge. There was no milk, knowing that the sides were either in the living room or Virgil's room. I went to the main side fridge and took a gallon of milk. I brought it back to the dark side kitchen where I poured the milk into a bottle and heated it up for 10 seconds. I dabbed it on the... I was about to say dabbing, when did I write that? But, no. I dabbed it on my skin to see if it was hot enough. Perfect. I went back to the bed, and I sat there staring into the child's eyes as it drank the bottle. It was nice and calming. But then, before I knew it, we were both taking a nap together. Peaceful, without worries. Yay. Can't wait for this to be over. This is taking way too long. Why did I agree to do this act? Also, fan art. Look at this fan art. Like, Logan looks cool. Patton looks angry. Roman looks angry. But I want to know who's all the way to... Is that Deceit or Remus? Like, all the way to the far left? I want to say that's Deceit, but there's no yellow gloves. But then I want to say it's Remus, but you can't see the green sash. So who is arguing over? Virgil. Also, looks like he's drooling. So, I want to know who... Okay, Logan, Patton, and Roman are arguing over Virgil right here. But who's the one all the way to the left? Okay, chapter 11, You Are My Sunshine. I hear crying and I jolt myself up trying to calm it down before the others know I have a child. Last time I found a child in my closet, they took him away from me. I was changing the little wonder when I heard something at the door. After a few seconds, I heard a knock. Don't wait a second. I finished up cleaning the mystery child and I put him in the closet. I put my finger to my mouth and held it up and did a slight hush sound to the baby. I closed the door behind me and went to the main door. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't want them taking a second child from me. I took a deep breath and went and opened the door. It was Logan. His room is all the way across Thomas's mind, so there was no way that he heard the crying. Hello, Deceit. We are having a meeting in the kitchen, and your presence would be appreciated. I sighed in relief. No way. I'll be left there. Logan then nodded in confirmation and turned back towards the light side area of the Mind Palace. I closed the door and went back to the closet to check on the baby. Fast asleep. Good. I fixed my hair and fed my snake. They were having a meeting in the kitchen, so there was going to be food. He needed to look as healthy as possible because he really didn't want to eat. He checked himself in the mirror ready to go to the meeting. He grabbed a notebook just in case notes were going to be took, and he popped outside the door frame. As much as he hated to admit it, Deceit really was excited to go to the meeting. He has never been a part of a discussion where the others didn't want him there. They asked him to come this time. Outside the door, I heard chatter from the others. Patton, are you sure that he has been taking care of it? He just woke up from a freaking coma, for crying out loud. That was Roman being dramatic as ever. Remus had told me stories about Roman's theater geek personality. I was too distracted by the memories and stories to realize that the words Roman spoke and their meaning. We were in his room not more than a week ago, and there was no infant. That was Logan. We began to put the pieces together. They know about Orange. We should grab it before he hurts the baby like he did me. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned the corner and walked in, acting as if I heard nothing. I am like Roman in a way. I use my lying as a way of acting. Bad night, everyone, I said in the cheeriest voice. What are we not doing here? Logan then straightened his back and cleared his throat. He looked down at the table rather than eye-to-eye contact as he usually does. I was not sure he was nervous until his hands came up slightly and he started to play with his necktie. Good morning to you too, Deceit. It was very slight, but it did look like he looked at Patton for guidance. Witnesses have observed that you have another bring in your possession. I started to feel queasy from the interaction. We were wondering if we could observe the child to make sure it was healthy. Logan said it more as a command than a question, though he meant it as one. But however he said it, Deceit didn't want to give up another love of his life, who needed to get married, or date, or have friends, when you would have a child to love and care for. I didn't want to be alone again, so I decided to stand up for my rights. You know what, Boltbrain? I heard Roman whisper as I took a deep breath. That is the best nickname I ever heard for Logan. I was fuming. I raised a child on my own for 16 years. What do you guys do? Take that love and turn it against me? You guys originally didn't even like Virgil. Why in the fucking world would I give you my only companion to some dunce that will brainwash the shit out of it? All the signs seemed threatened, even Logan. Then Remus comes out of the dark shadow. I didn't even know he was here. He was going to say something like, they helped Virgil, or aren't I your family? But inside, he pointed out something that I had been too upset to notice. Deceit. You didn't lie. With that, I didn't know how to feel. Joy, rage, sadness, guilt. It was all coming at once. Each of the sides had their own way of coping with things. Remus stares intensely into my snake eye, trying to tell what was going on. Logan kept adjusting his tie, then his glasses. Back and forth, tie, glasses, tie, glasses. Roman had a hand on the samurai sword in the back pocket, and other reaching towards Remus's hand. Remus didn't seem to notice the offer of kindness. Poor Patton looked depressed, angry, and confused all in one go. His tears held all three to a high standard. And then there was Virgil. He looked furious, either at me or himself, but he looked done with whatever shit was going on. I did this. I was making my child hurt. Then I remembered that I had another child to tend to. How the fuck do you know I had a baby? Everyone turned to a sobbing Patton who was curled up on the floor. No one moved to comfort him. You were out cold in a coma for 3 months, Deceit. I was worried when you woken up from being gone for 3 months. It just left so hurt. I went to your room to check on you, and you were asleep with a baby in your lap. You shouldn't hide this from us. Never come into my room again, you bitch. I'm gonna fucking kill you all, starting with you two. I pointed at Patton and Virgil and bolted out of the kitchen. Instead of snapping to pop in my room, I ran the long hallway back to the dark side territory. From outside the door, I heard the baby whining. I walked inside with all my anger flushing away. It wouldn't be okay, baby girl, I said, rocking it back and forth. I then decided to sing a song. I heard Remus said Roman's song to him. I have never sung before, and I soon found you cannot lie song lyrics. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. But when I woke, dear, I was mistaken. And I hung my head and cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'll always love you and make you happy if you only stay the same. But if you leave me or love another, you'll regret it all someday. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You told me once, dear, you really loved me, and no one else could come between. But now you left me and love another. You have shattered all my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I soon found both the baby and I once again in the peaceful slumber that got us into this mess. Really? An ad? I hate ads. Really? Yes, so one. Yes. Yes, delete us. Nice game break is nice while reading a Wattpad read aloud. Cause wow, my throat is getting sore. And Isma is in like 2 weeks, so party in the palace. And then here's a nice edit that I found. Greens, nothing but greens. There's a whole bunch of broccoli behind Roman, and it's amaze balls. I got an email. Email. Did I get another email? Yep, 2 emails for some acting reason. One of the emails was informing me that Prince Alex loved one of my comments. Quack. Okay, party in the palace. Chapter 12. I woke up with a nauseous feeling that slipped away slightly when I saw the peaceful child breathing deeply on my lap. I took a second to inhale the aroma of the baby. The new person smell was comforting. The new person smell, yep. The new person smell. What is my life? Well, that sound pervertish. Yeah, you think? Thought it was true, seriously. Have you ever sniffed a baby when if was clean? Yeah, I get English, hello. It was better than new car smell. I gradually stood up and put the baby into a cradle I made. I looked down at the poor thing. All I knew about it was orange. I feel bad for not knowing what side the baby is. It is like not caring for the child's personality is like. Unlike orange. Oh wow, I got itchy. Unlike orange. Wait, where am I at? Virgil came with a label that told me that he was anxiety. I blew it a kiss and walked over to the door. I don't know if he could hear me. As much as I didn't want to eat, I had to stay at least a bit fit so I could take care of Orange. For now, calling the child Orange instead of just baby or child seemed right. I was reaching for the doorknob when I looked back to see Orange once more, his little stomach rising and falling with each steady breath was soothing. When I turned around to look back at the door, I got a good hard glimpse at my mirror. What was staring back at me wasn't even me. My hair was noticeably a bush, even with my hat on. My clothes had wrinkles for ways. Yep, wrinkles for ways. Not to mention stains and stench. Now that I think about it, I haven't changed in 3 months. My clothes were now stained with white spots from the baby powder and powdered formula. Though that wasn't even the worst part. I stared right into my eyes, then I saw it. My face was completely snake. Holy shit. I ran into my closet and took off my clothes. I wasn't completely scale, but more of my body was covered in scales than on average. I threw my filthy clothes into the hamper when I had them off and changed into my last clean suit. Like the last time I put it on a couple months ago, I saw my curved reflection in the gold-tinted buttons on my jacket. After I changed, I didn't even care what my hair looked like. I walked out and didn't go back. I sat in the kitchen just pondering these sudden emotions and why they have come now of all times. There was only one person who could help. After I got done what needed to be done, I dressed up Orange. Nothing too formal, just something that won't get him taken away. God, please don't let my baby be taken away. I called a number and the phone rang in my ear. I snapped and it was able to conjure up a bottle for him. I didn't know I could do that. I held the child, feeding it with both of my arms, and my cell phone was being held up to my ear via shoulder. Goodbye. When do you not have space open for either today or tomorrow? I wouldn't be too worried about schedule for this guy. If it wasn't for him, I'd just be being a character for Thomas made up for videos and made him cartoon obsessed. Okay, I can't English. Hello. I'm actually open up at the moment, so if you want to come in, you are able to. Yeah, I don't know how therapy works. Hello. I will mark you down to seat. He sounded proud, almost like he was glad that I called him. He then said, "Right now through tomorrow, I will work. Have a lovely day." He then just hung right up then and there. Read Mrs. POV. The seat stormed out of the room, and I was in utter shock. I was just there, not doing anything. "Remus!" Roman screamed, and I shut out on my daze. "Calm down, you're scaring Patton." Calm down? Scaring Patton? I must have clearly been confused because then Logan needed to add his 2 cents. Roman, he was in a trance. He doesn't know what he did. I forgot what he did. What did he do? Oh my gosh. I then looked at Patton, and everyone turned toward the dad figure. He was repeating a Fred. See, baby, comfort, gone. Okay, yeah, my whole life is cringe. Hello. Over and over again to himself. Did I create his ungodly trend? Sorry, Patton. I didn't know. That is all I can manage to say. Then Logan came up with the idea we were all excited for, even Virgil. Why don't we get a group therapist? I said excited. Who would be excited about that? Especially Virgil. Like, he would never be excited for that. And I'm tired. Hello. It's school tomorrow, whack. I then got a look from Patton, and everyone turned towards the dad figure. He was I'll schedule an appointment with Dr. Picani right now. Logan put out his high phone. I kind of meant to say iPhone probably, but yeah. It dialed a number. He stepped out to the hallway, but did not go further than the doorframe. We could go to his office right now. We all nodded in unison and popped into his office building. Virgil looked extremely sick. We looked around a bit, and it was quite unnerving with the feel of the room. The waiting room consisted of many stuffed animals and books. It actually looked like a living room with assorted couches and chairs scattered throughout the place. Logan then pulled the group together. How is this going to work? He was talking like we weren't in an empty building. It was a bit confused, but luckily I didn't need to sound stupid, for Patton had just asked what that meant. Logan adjusted his necktie. I meant, like, are we going by ourselves, in pairs, a group of 2, and a group of 3 all together? I did tell him that we were just coming, not how we were going to approach him. I thought about it for a second, not really having an answer, when Roman spoke up. I think we should go in pairs, he said. This more of a question than a statement. Logan then hummed a little, then came back to us. There are 5 of us, and one of us will be excluded if we go in pairs. Because I am logical thinking, I will stay behind while you talk through your emotions. Gross emotions. Ugh. Penn was not thrilled with the statement. Well then, we can make it groups of 2 and 3. Penn seemed pretty confident in his answer. Then, after pretty much not hearing him all day except for Deceit's room, he spoke up. Would you guys mind if I talked to Dr. Picani alone? We all looked at him sharply, then our faces softened in unison. Well, of course, Black Widow. Roman, who was almost more calm, was talking like a close friend. Okay, I can't English. Hello. I've been reading too long. English has slipped out of my vocabulary. Logan then squinted and declared, since Virgil has proposed to going alone, we could do pairs, then Patton. Why is there a period there and not a comma? Then Patton, as long as you 2 are okay with it. He looked between Roman and I shook my head. Regina George here can be my partner, I say with a sneer. Patton ran up and hugged Logan so tight it looked like he was suffocating. It means we are partners. We sounded so satisfied and hopeful. Patton was a weird one. Roman then pulled me to the side. I'm hoping that this will get something out of you that you need to let out. I did not want to do it here, but there's also no stuff that I need to get off my chest. I chucked a plastic-sounding chuckle, and I chuckled a plastic-sounding chuckle. Yep, I could English. And looked down at my hands. They could be his friends or foe. They could do remarkable things, as well as horribly horrifying ones. His hands were the power of love and hurt, light and dark. They worked along with verbal actions. I stared long and hard at my hands until we were told to pick someone to come in first. Okay, Chapter 13. I just see this very cool picture of Picani. Looks like he's in a car with his bean juice. Picani's so cute. Ah! Picani salami. That's the name of the chapter, Picani salami. Yeah. Okay, trigger warnings that are important. Cursing. I don't know how therapy goes. I'm trying my best, okay? So you know those are very good trigger warnings. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm playing with slime while doing this because, you know, I'm bored. I can't just read for 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I have the baby in my arms as they call me into the room to talk. I feel him slightly move as I get up and out of the chair. Walking down the long hallway to his office felt like an eternity. I made it to the outside of the door. He must have had 50,000 sticker sheets on his door for you couldn't see wood at all. The person who walked me to his room looked up at me and gave a soft, most caring smile. Sir, would you like me to take you, child? Yep, I could type. Would you like me to take your child while you're in an appointment? Oh my gosh, oh my god. Oh my gosh. Destiny Boy went wild. Destiny Boy is a mystical girl. I'm sorry. A truckload of magazines flooded me at the same time, and I opened the door, the child being cradled in my arm. I heard Dr. Picani was supposed to be a SpongeBob thing when you walked in, but this time he just looked at me right in the eye with a sympathetic face. Hello, Deceit. How do? I could tell that he was trying to have a bright voice that he usually does, but something didn't quite feel right. I sat down on the black squared sofa as I did once years ago. Really, I did another flashback? I don't want to read another flashback. I really want to go, Remus. I squirmed in his arms. This is just so not personal. Oh, this is just so not personal and the most comfortable experience I've ever been through. Remus was grunting with the strength he had to use to hold me back. Deceit. I usually don't think it is necessary to make you do things, but I think you should talk to someone about this. Like, really. I love you too much to see you like this. Can you do it? If not for you, then for me. I looked at Remus with a mighty rage that melted into a tired defeat. Nah, why? A light flickered through Remus's eyes. He thinks I have been acting strange since Virgil left. And the it. Isn't healthy. I disagree. Okay, let's go to his office. Remus has been trying to get me to go to Dr. Picani's office for weeks now. I never liked the idea of talking to a stranger about personal life and my deepest thoughts and feelings. 1 hour and lots of tears later. Lovely speaking to you, Deceit. See you next week. I smiled slightly, walking out. Dry tears were attached to my face. Remus looked from the novel he was reading with a crooked smile. We should watch a movie, Remus suggested. I already knew what he wanted to watch. Not Guys and Dolls, I asked with a bit of a laugh. I didn't need to ask. Well, but how does watching it... Yeah, but how does it watch... Who's saying this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, but how does watching it not hurt you? I mean, Thomas had a pretty big breakup. Plus, aren't you partners with Roman while acting? I sighed. I loved the movie, but the memories behind the show were tragic. Well, Remus, I hate the show. I really don't. But it still heals me to watch it. I watch it because it creates a cavity in my heart where Virgil shouldn't be. Remus did a soft snicker. Not a mean one, but one that is meant to sound of disbelief. Whatever you say, Sneck. I'm dead. Sneck. What is my life? Okay. Whew. How long has it been? 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 10 seconds. Okay, Deceit's POV, present day. I want to believe I'm just wonderful. Everything is going to be great. I have been present for all of it. I sounded exhausted. Dr. Picani gave me a confused look. What do you mean by not being present for all of it? I know that there is a feeling of not being in the present. He started to explain when I cut him off. I wasn't in a coma. Oh, do you know why you were knocked out for and for how long? My head was heavier, as if the weight from my body if the weight from my shoulders started floating to the top part of my body. I wasn't knocked out in 3 months ago. I wasn't knocked out in 3 months ago. Yep, I can English. I wasn't knocked out about 3 months ago. I don't remember being down by Virgil. I don't miss him at all. But he hates his new life, and he loves me with a burning passion. I should stop him from staying with him. He wasn't joking around with cartoon references and movies. He was acting very strange. I knew my Dr. Picani was in there somewhere. Logan's POV. POV. So close, but yet so far. I was sitting in the waiting room for quite some time now when Patton went to find the bathroom. He went down the hall, and before he turned left, he looked inside a small window and scrambled back. What is it, Patton? I asked. He looked worried in a relieved sort of way. Emotions are weird. When I was looking for the bathroom, I got a glimpse of the seat in the room with Dr. Picani. I thought about the rules. Oh my gosh. Thought about the rules of therapy were not necessarily broken. No information was shared unless the C wanted to keep this a secret. I won't share that with Patton, though. He seems tense. Patton, calm down. Did one of them see you there? He sniffed a bit, face turning red. I hope he can help. Emotions are gross. No, but the baby was in the room with them. The sea was crying, and Dr. Pirani didn't seem to be himself. He looked rather... Patton trailed off, but I nodded for him to continue. Tired? Synthetic? I don't know what synthetic means. What the frick does synthetic mean? All in all, done with all this bullshit. Did I type that Patton said the word bullshit? How late was it when I wrote this chapter? Roman was sleeping with Virgil on his lap. Remus was watching one of his R-rated movies again, so he wasn't hearing a thing through his headphones. Patton, you curse? I was so shocked. Oh, so I did write it for a reason. I was so shocked. He didn't seem like the type. Only when it's the only way I could see things, and Buchanan looked so done. I think the sea was shaking him in ways he was never shaken, to be honest. Sometimes a therapist needs a therapist, but he, sadly, is the only one in the Mind Palace. That gave me an idea. Patton, I am going to do my session alone. If needed, I am sure Rowan will go in with you. He nodded slightly, and then sat down on the couch next to me, forgetting he had to use the bathroom. We were now going as Roman and Patton as a pair, Virgil and Remus, and I going ourselves. Yep, that's English. Patton leaned on my shoulder and slept peacefully on my upper neck. I'm glad he is finally getting some rest. I don't think he has slept in days. He is rather adorable in this state. Quiet, cute, unaware Patton. I hope I don't finish this book soon. This trip will take a while, and I only have 534 pages left. I'm dead. Another ad. Before we continue, I just want to point out this cute fan art of Deceit as a girl, and my gosh, so much detail, and like everything is so amazing, and ow! And I dropped the tablets. Okay, hopefully that didn't hurt you guys' ears too bad. If you guys are still watching this, I mean, it's been 2 hours. Who would sit here and listen to me for 2 hours? There's a warning on here to stay aware of deceit, always talking and lie, because he's going to be talking a lot in this chapter. Deceit, distress, chapter 14. Yes, 4 more chapters to go, or 5, 4, I don't know. Trigger warning, Remus, cursing, vomit. Wow. Goodbye, Pakani, I said, with a slight brightness in my voice as a dizzy Dr. Pakani stopped spinning in the chair. Hello, do you how? He stopped with a bit of worry in his mouth. I don't know if it was because he saw me or he's been spinning way too much. Most likely a bit of both. Well, it has been a second since you came to see me. Remus forced you again? It felt like something stabbed me in the back as I sat down on the black leather couch with the baby tightly in my arms. Actually, yes, he did force me this time. It was not my choice at all. I just don't need someone to talk to. Bakani showed a bit of frantic panic in his eyes, but stayed collected and neat on the outside. Well, what seems to be bothering you, friendo? I see you have a little munchkin. What's his name? About that he has a name. I didn't find him in the closet like I didn't find Virgil, and he came with a name tag. It looks like I won't need to wait till he is older to find out who he represents. Connie took a second to scribble down some notes on his journal. I didn't know if I was supposed to wait until he asked a question or keep talking, so I decided to keep talking. So I was completely exhausted when I found him, and I didn't fall asleep with him in my lap on my bed. This is when I didn't wake up from a 3-month coma, so Patton didn't come in to check on me. He didn't see me with the baby, and now they don't want to help me raise him. Well, guess what? He is not my child, and I will let them take him away like Virgil, even if I know who he represents. He kept scribbling down things on his notepad and nodding his head in confirmation that he was listening. I looked down at the child who started stroking his head. I felt tears start coming down my face. When I didn't wake up, they didn't knock on the door. I didn't hide in the closet without the baby, and they didn't find me. They didn't tell me to keep him, and I stayed in peaceful state. Now they aren't trying to keep the baby girl after so many years of not capturing my other baby. Wow, this lying is so hard. My throat hurts. It looked like he was about to make a joke, but refrained from himself from doing so. He straightened his glasses and tie as if, whoa, I almost dropped it, Logan, and looked straight into my eyes. Here, have some tissues. I accepted the cloth and blew my nose. The baby jerked a bit, but mostly stayed in a peaceful state. Have you tried talking to the light sides? They seem to care about your well-being enough if they saved you from bleeding to death. Wow, I wrote Bacani out as dark. It then occurred to me that they did save me, and they did try to make amends to our current situation. Not like they were going to give me back Virgil, or like he wanted to return. Though I must give credit where credit is due. They didn't try to talk to me, but I stayed put and listened carefully. My fear didn't get the best of me, and I didn't go off on them. I stopped talking and decided to cry. The tears were hot on my face, but my hands were cold. How much do I talk about crying in this freaking book? My gosh. I kept stroking the child's poor head. I wish I could give him a better life. I wish I knew who he was supposed to represent. But Connie stayed quiet for don't even know how long it was. I just kept crying and stroking. The stroking helped. Well, Deceit, from what I could tell, you are putting too much in your own hands. Take the cartoon Dr. McStuffins. The hippo Hallie gets headaches and emotionally feels bad after working too hard at the toy hospital. From what I could tell,
with your freaking headaches, lack of nutrition, and rest pulls your current mental state. I have reason to believe that you're stressed. No shit, Picani. Though I do not want to address that is like a circle. Your negative feelings are hidden because you haven't been eating right or sleeping, but you're not eating right and sleeping are because of your negative feelings. Usually it is negative emotions that start things off, but no one really pinpoint which came first in some cases. That actually makes sense. And it's kind of smart. I'm the one that came up with that. Yo, imaginary friend over there in the corner of my room. Am I the one that came up with that, like, very smart thingy thing? I didn't do any research for this book, by the way, so if it's incorrect, then haha. I don't know and I don't care. I had no idea how to respond to the statement, so I slowed my crying, and Picani helped me through some breathing exercises. Deceit, can you tell me why you don't want to eat? I gulped and blinked a couple of times to calm myself. It is my choice. Picani kind of stopped breathing for a second and leaned back to the rest of his chair. What do you mean you can't eat because it isn't your choice? You have the ability to eat, do you not? No, I don't, but we have a lot of food at the house. Also, the light sides don't have any food, and they loving share with Remus and I. I tried to think of what else to say. The only thing we don't have is watered down oatmeal stuff. I don't know. We shouldn't be thankful for what we don't have, but still. Picani was scribbling notes faster than a cheetah, being chased by a race car. I am so sorry to hear that. I want to go more in depth with the whole thing, but sadly your time is overdue and I have others waiting. If it wasn't for them, I would keep you longer. Will I be seeing you again? I took a long breath. During the breath, I thought of the 2 last hours. No, I won't see you next week. We both shone an agreeing smile as I walked out feeling pretty good for a quick second. Just a quick second. Deceit? I heard someone from the sofa from a sort of questionable surprise sound come from behind me. It was Logan. He was on the bottom of a sleeping Patton. Though my anger was rising, I did have to admit he was rather cute. See, Patton is the cutie boy. Next to them, on the other couch, was Roman taking a snooze in between a sleeping Remus and Virgil, who were on each other's shoulders. Virgil, though, was not asleep, for long after hearing Logan and his unnecessary outburst. Deceit, what the fuck are you doing here? Virgil was infuriated. How can someone be that mad after waking up? Wait, that was me. Remus and Roman woke up after Virgil's vault, and Roman quickly went to hold him down after he tried to come after me. Virgil, remember, we accept him now. We are bringing him home. Just calm. I was so done. So all of a sudden I'm not your friend? You're just gonna take me in like you didn't do with Virgil? I have not been betrayed so many times. Now out of the blue, I am the devil coming to hurt you? Well, go fuck yourself if you think that is not true. I will always be the freaking good guy. Patton was awake now, and he came after me as I ran down the hall and out the door. I countered myself back to my room and screamed at the top of my snake lungs, followed by an aggressive hissing. I put the baby down in the cradle and punched the wall. Not the first time. The whole wall was covered in punch marks. I started to settle down. Ugh. It's either I can't English or this is not English, which is both. I used the breathing exercise from Virgil and Dr. Picani and decided that maybe I should try to eat another cookie from the bag, even if it did put me to sleep. I went back in the bag. The cookies were stale as heck, but I still ate it. I ran to the bathroom, holding my mouth. I leaned over the toilet on the hard bathroom floor and poured my guts out during this time. I felt weak. Too weak. I heard pounding on the door as I fell to the floor.
Deceit? I reconsidered it as Patton with his worried tone. He called for me again and again. Everything fell black. I heard a scream as I let the dark wash over me. I'm coming in! What, Deceit's knocked out again? How many times am I gonna knock out Deceit in this freaking book? Musical Madness, Chapter 15. Oh my god, we're almost done. Thank God, thank God. Woo! Okay, Virgil's POV. I couldn't breathe. I knew I shouldn't. Patton was running after Deceit, and Logan actually ran to chase Patton. I was then left with Roman and Remus. My throat hurt so much, and my heart ached. I haven't talked too much in the last couple of days, now that I think about it. I haven't spoken that much in the last couple of weeks, months even. Roman's breathing was steady, and it looked as if Remus was debating whether he should comfort his brother or cry in a ball on the floor. The lady at the counter told us that whenever we were ready, Dr. Picotti was in his room. I told the two of them to go on. I was going to go home back to my room. There was no way I was going to get involved. I quickly teleported myself to my room. It felt cold and dreary. I felt a cluster of unneeded emotions overthrow my confusion and curiosity about the previous situation. The voices that surrounded my room echoed into my ear. Worthless. Your mistake. Bad guy. Emo brat. This is not happening because of you. The last one wasn't a voice in my room. It was the voice from my head. A memory of sorts from when I was with Deceit. It wasn't even a memory, even. It is just something he would say if he were here. Being honest, Deceit would really did anything evil or too bad, not anything better than me. Why did I ever betray him like that? He's going through Pam's, and I haven't even made things any better. I still can't believe that I had done mine before him. The big question, though, is what big lying thing is Thomas going through? Thomas! My sweet, sweet Thomas. How I wish I could please him so, but I am much a disappointment. I am so weak. The others are so strong. For a day I wish to be Roman, so creative and expressive and pleasant. He doesn't need to worry about being snarky. I wish to be Patton. He's the cutest puffball we got, and though he is not just happiness, that is a big part of his being, and when he is torn, he knows how to cope with it. Sometimes I even wish to be Logan. He is collected and calm all the time. He doesn't feel, so he doesn't need to worry about love and sadness. The only emotion he really needs to worry about is anger. But that is another story. The voices are still there, but they are quiet. The same scenario plays over and over again in my brain, and the others are switching places. If I switched off as Logan, I would be chill because I can't feel, but Logan would probably die. He had never felt, and then to be thrown at such a negative emotion would make him break down into pieces. If I switched with Roman, he would probably hurt himself before anything else can. He would be in a fighting position so long he would collapse. Then there is Patton. If he saw what I see every day and hear what I hear every day, he would be emotionally scarred. That would not only be bad for Patton, but Thomas would be in an insane asylum by the end of the day. I don't want to hurt any of my friends, so I will put up with my sufferings for my friends and just do whatever I have to stay alive or die. I mean, that does sound appealing. I can't hurt anyone anymore or feel pain. I'll be free. Yes, this is what I want. No, I can't do that. I will leave an impact. Patton will be emotionally torn apart for life, though no matter how much I tried, I couldn't stop feeling. Some say I have depression. I see where they're coming from, but the side of anxiety can't have depression, because depression is a different side from anxiety. I do have high to negative feelings. I have been labeled with it, but it isn't completely true. Does that make sense? I went to the kitchen hoping to go unnoticed. I grabbed a knife, one not used a lot so that it didn't destroy any of Patton's good cutlery. I ran back to the room and panicked. I had to make sure this was brief. I stabbed the knife into my upper arm, shoulder almost. I dragged the knife down my arm. I winced for a second, but quickly realized how the pain distracted me from my anxiety, and I kept dragging the blade through the flesh till I made it to my wrist. I could not only see the red liquid escape my limb, but I could feel a warm, gooey substance hit my burning skin. I couldn't help myself, so I did it once again. The arm was now gushing blood. I looked at the other arm. A voice in my head was talking to me. That arm is bright red, and that one is pale. Very different. Maybe we should fix that. The little bit of me was very weird. Instead of making it even by cleaning up the blood on my left arm, I jabbed the knife into my right arm and dragged it down with a strong sicken of my breath. It stung a lot. Then again, I always stung a lot. I felt dizzy all of a sudden. I started crying. Overwhelming feelings filled my heart, making it drown like the Titanic. I put on my black Bluetooth headphones and put on a list of musicals that Roman and I listened to all the time. I went to the bathroom to clean the mess I have made of myself. I think it was no coincidence, but Michael in the bathroom came on, and I could not resist singing to it. I'm hanging in the bathroom at the biggest party of the fall. In the middle of me cleaning my wounds, I reached for the door of the medicine cabinet. I opened it with a tight and hearty tug of the handle. I went straight to the antidepressants, opened the bottle with a tight twist. It hurt my recently cut wrist to do so. I popped open 2 of the pills in my mouth with a hard swallow and filled the glass of water from the sink. I quickly drank the whole glass. I tightened the cap back on, and instead of cleaning the rest of it for myself, I went to bed. Was I still bleeding? A bit. Did I care? No. My headache was too strong at this point to even think about it. Now I think about, why didn't I have him take headache medicine? Ack. Once again, I was in my head. I reached for the drawer in the side table and pulled out a bottle of aspirin. Okay, there we go. The bottle of water from the side of my bed I picked up also. I popped probably meant 2 more pills in my mouth and gulped down the water once more. The voices got louder. Anxious mess, worthless, disgusting, selfish. The water didn't settle well in my stomach. I tossed and turned most of the night. I tried to sleep. Then I looked at the clock, 1:12, ran to the bathroom, and threw up. Ack. Again. Okay, so this chapter, Acceptance, chapter 16, has the song Lullaby from the musical A Long Way Off. This musical is very underrated and not seen by many. So if you want to check it out on YouTube, it is called A Long Way Off. And yeah, it's from the Salvation Army. True warning, cursing, murder, and fighting. Whose point of view is this? I don't know whose point of view this is. Help. I think it's anxiety. But we just left him off in bed, so I don't know. I ran into my... Oh, this is the CD Boyo, I think. It's probably the CD Boyo. I ran back to my room as fast as I could. My breath was unsteady and my steps were uncertain. It has only been a short while since I blacked out, and I most likely shouldn't be doing what I am doing, but I am. I was about to slow down, but then I realized Penn was running after me. He was never into sports, because Thomas was never into sports, but at this point Penn was running faster than a wild cheetah. I didn't know if I should stop or keep running to prevent Thomas from Patton from getting me, but my legs chose for me. I slammed to a halt and Patton quickly caught me. He looked at me and smiled. "Deceit, can I have a chat with you?" I was speechless, so I nodded my head slowly. Then from right around the corner, an exhausted Logan came fumbling towards us. Is everything ideal, Patton?" Logan was trying to talk through gasps for air. I could tell that he ran less than any side here. "I am fine for now, but can you stay here as I have my conversation with Deceit? I might need you." I figured that Patton needed him more with emotional support than physical support. Well, Deceit, I have kind of neglected to tell you this because something would always come up and I haven't been able to tell you. But how would you like to move in with the light sides? I was literally speechless, so Patton kept talking. "We have Ben, you rightfully mean. Oh, this would be an N, but I accidentally hit the space bar. We have been unrightfully mean to you, kiddo. We accepted Virgil. Penn did a large sigh as Logan wrapped his arms around him and nodded with approval. When we first started hanging out with us, I was terrified for my life. But after a while, that frightened feeling was washed away with love. That is what is happening here. After you passed out, we needed you more than ever. We learned of your importance. We will want to start a relationship with you. Not only you, though, with Remus and your child also. We will make sure that this one loves you as well as his heart. Penn then, with his emotional self, burst into tears. Oh, wow. Between crying and passing out, this book is, And Logan swept him into a tight hug. I then slowly but surely wrapped my arms around Patton too. And then he cried some more, not of sadness, but of emotional overload. An emotional overload for Patton was like an anxiety attack for Virgil. For once in his life, specifically, the worst time to, Logan started to panic. I then took Patton and started rubbing his back, and then I slid off his face as he leaned against me and cried into his soul. Okay. 3 things that this book has way too much of. Unconscious people, crying, and rubbing back circles. Oh my gosh. I was scared to speak because of his state. He might forget that I have opposite speak, so I decided to communicate the only way I knew how without my curse, by singing. Sleep, my child, leave your worries for a while. The day is now done, tomorrow will come with a problem of its own. It was hard to tell whether Patton was disappointed, confused, or feeling comforted. He started to talk. Shh. Go mad, my big Patton. Just don't listen. Whatever he was going through, he kept crying, so I continued to sing. Peace, my child. Lay your head and say goodnight. May you be blessed. May you find rest here in my arms. I was going to keep singing, but that is a really good place to stop. Plus, the rest of the song is in different rounds, so it would be difficult to sing. I looked at Logan for some instructions, and he gave me a small smile, but rare. Smile and nodded to encourage me. I started talking in some hushed tone. Patton, my child, sometimes even the dad needs a parental figure. I accept your request. I love you. I felt warm and fuzzy, not giving the last statement any second thought until Patton backed away and Logan gasped. If you hate Patton, then why did you sing him a song? Logan was confused and slightly furious at whatever. I don't hate Patton. At least not anymore. I understand now. I want to join you guys. I accept you and I want you to accept me. Logan looked about ready to punch me when his face softened and his eyes went wide. After all he tried to do for you, and you just now, you come out and say you hate him? What a shame, Deceit. What a shame. Logan then helped up a trembling father figure. Patton gave me one last look and turned back to Logan, continued to cry into his shoulder. I didn't know what just happened. I was speaking from the heart. I know that I talk in lies, but they know I talk in lies. Why can't they just see how the good in me for 5 minutes? I am evil, yes, but just like any other creature, I need love. Love is the one thing that all creatures crave. Then something happened. I started floating in the air, yellow sparks and sparkles and sparks floating around me. Yellow flames shot out of my hands and head. Both of my eyes were snake-like. I felt stronger, wiser, powerful. I was slowly put down by the swirls around me, and I realized that I had gained my powers. After the longest time, I'd finally gained what I had longest to earn. I didn't know what I had on my hands, but it was like fire. But it wasn't burning me. I then decided to go to my room and practice my new skills. I got to the room and sparks were flying around like fireflies. I then conjured up a target. I put Logan and Patton's faces on them. Oh, I was dark. Wow. I figured it would be kind of like Elsa and her ice powers, so I for full threw my arms towards the target. Nope. Dude, Jack can straight out make a whole 1 hour episode of Your Grammar Sucks based off of this book. Woo! I flung back my yellow glittery beam, splashed on the pen's forehead, burning it to a crisp. Wow. I wanted to know if it can put it back together somehow if I wanted, so I slapped a shot of my arm toward it again. That resulted in the paper forming into its former self. For the rest of the night, I was in my room learning about my powers and what I could do with them. Once I learned more about my powers themselves, I taught myself a couple of tricks. I have a few on my sleeve. I was feeling pretty good, pretty powerful. Then I remembered how Logan thought I was lying. I just said I loved Patton and wait. Fuck! I said love. But I actually love Patton. Why didn't I lie? I grabbed my tape recorder and began to speak. Roman was the first side to appear, and he represents creativity. His favorite color is red, and he slayed 831 dragon witches in his time. Patton was the third side to appear. He represents mortality. He loves puppies and is kind to all. The fourth to appear is Logan. He is Thomas's logical side. He uses Rubik's Cubes and crossword puzzles to calm himself down. His favorite color is dark blue. The fifth side to appear is Remus. He is the second dark side and represents bad creativity. His favorite color is green, and he is Roman's younger brother. Lastly, Orange was the last to appear. He currently doesn't have a name or a trait. He was found in Deceit's closet. I ended the recording and played it back. All of it was the truth. I played it over and over till I slightly believed that I told the truth. I told the truth and the others were not happy about it? If they really wanted me to be their friend, why were they so angry with me when I told the truth for the first time in my life? I knew exactly what I needed to do. I hate these commercials. They're so gross. You're in my world now, not your world. Chapter 17. Okay, so we're on the home stretch of the book. Yeah, I really want to stop reading. This is getting way too much. Okay, so one thing before we start, reading is that it's based off of this YouTube video, Friends on the Other Side, animatic. Not actually going to play it because copyright, but it's not telling me who it's from. I forgot who it's from, but yeah, it's kind of based off of that. We are at the home stretch of the story. Stay tuned for just an ending. I was going to put an adjective there, but I really don't know how to describe it. The video above is amazing and will be used in the chapter. Trigger warning: blood. MW2. Don't know what MW2 is. Mortality. Woodwing 2, I don't know. Biting poison. I went to the light side of the mind once more around 5:30. Why did I stop reading? Okay, around 5:30, when I knew they'd be sitting at the kitchen table, having a lovely family dinner. I told Remus to cancel dinner, but he tried telling me about some kind of thing. I think it's called a burger. I don't know. Where in the world do we get a burger from anyway? All we have is oatmeal. I could hear footsteps echo off the bare cold walls as I walked through the dark and creepy halls. Clip, clop, clip, clop. My breathing was intense. Should I go through with this? I mean, if they are gone, Thomas will lose his life. Is revenge on some figments of Thomas's imagination worth getting Thomas in trouble? If Thomas dies, then I'd die with him. After much thought, I just decided to scare them out of their pants and torture them to almost death, but then leave them there till they heal. So basically hurt them extremely bad, but still have enough strength to keep Thomas alive. I still don't know. What if the baby grows up and finds out how bad of a person I am? Thankfully, in the Mind Palace, if no one takes care of the baby, the Mind Palace takes care of the baby itself. The counter up and feed, change, and live the baby. Good try, past me, good try. So during this time that I have been basically dead and off doing whatever, the orange child is safe. As much as I have been off, I live that kid. Nope, it's love. Try again. Your grammar sucks. Why haven't I've been there to protect him? It's not like I was too stressed or anything. Taking care of a child calms me. I walked right into the kitchen, everyone attention turned towards me. I looked at the four sides, but instead of Virgil sitting in a chair, it was Remus? Hello, Remus. What a surprise to see you here. What are you doing here, and why aren't you over in the dark side of the mind? Instead of answering my question, Remus decided to gasp in awe. I realized that he hasn't learned of my new abilities. He is hanging with the light side, so might as well inviolate him too. Wow, I can't English in this book, can I? In case you are wondering, I, Deceit Sanders, have gained my powers, and now I will use it to pay. I flicked my hands, and yellow flames covered over them, like I was doing a magic show. Patton stepped back with a solemn look on his face. Roman drew a sword, and Remus pulled out a spike ball with the slight hesitation and concern in his eyes. Though something was off about Logan. He just stood there in awe and disbelief. Before he could say something or do anything, though, I turned their nightmare into a reality. Inspired by an animation that a person made a while back, I bit Patton in the arm and slithered away. I quickly constructed a room like the one in the flick. There was green smoke everywhere on a glowing yellow throne. Virgil, unsurprisingly, though, was still missing and taking his place in... This was Remus? He responded with the same dialogue that was in the video. The fun part about this video is that either way, I win. You're in my world now, not your world, and I got friends on the other side. I continued to sing as the spirits behind me joined in. Soon Roman came in with Logan and his sword and sang his part. This vampire bat, this inhuman beast, ought to be locked up and never released. Everything was going according to plan, until it was time for Remus to turn his soul over to me. I stopped the song because I remembered that if you take a dark side soul, they become darkly powerful, and that would make him stronger than me. The only reason it worked with Virgil is because he is just a negative trait, not a dark side. Bring me Virgil, I say, as Roman gets tense. When is the last time we heard from Virgil or seen him? Roman turned to Logan with a confused concern. It's been a while, and he hasn't been eating either. They bothered dashing off, picking up Patton, and running to Virgil's room. Remus then decided to talk to me. What did I do wrong, Deceit? What did they do wrong? We finally get what we want, and you decide to go ahead and throw it all away. I was confused at that particular statement. What do you mean? I asked. Well, for starters, you speak the truth. From watching your brainwaves, I know... Wait, what? For watching your brainwaves, you could go inside dreams, not watch brainwaves. What was I thinking? I know that is one of the things you wanted. Secondly, you get to have a real dinner. Penny made us burgers, and you bit him to death. I was so confused at this point. They do not like us, Remus. We are not even allowed on this side of the mind without being tortured, let alone eating. And a burger? Why would they make us something so delicious? Because you passed out from them not taking care of you. They decided to make us rooms on this side of the mind and include us in meals and gatherings. The only thing that they won't like the only thing they won't like us in is Sanderside's episodes where we stay evil for suspense. That's a mood, though. A wave of guilt washed over me. I am sorry, Duke. I had no idea. He laughed a slow and crooked chuckle. I am not the one you should be apologizing to. I ran up to the Duke and gave him a tight hug. You are right. I should go and say sorry. We can even have a deceit party to celebrate. Really? That's kind of it. Remus clapped an excited clap, and we started to walk slowly over to Virgil's room. The walk was nice and peaceful. I talked through some stuff with my pal and had a good time. We were not even a fourth of the way there when we heard a high-pitched scream from Roman. We gave each other a worried glance and started running for our lives. We dashed as fast as our legs could take us, not remembering our teleportation powers in the moment of suspense. We got to his room and slammed open the door with a loud thud, and we could not believe what we saw. Two more chapters, 18 and 19, then we're freaking done. So here's just some fan art I took as inspiration for this chapter. Everyone's crying except for Patty, which confuses me in this picture, but that's besides the point. I got a notification for Wattpad. Hold up. Okay, so it was really nothing. Time for the juicy stuff. Let's look at this beautiful fan art. One more chapter to go. Trigger warning, bleeding, cursing, Remus blurting. Yep. Yeah, that kind of rhymes. Blood, cursing, Remus blurting. Oh, blood, cursing, Remus blurting. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. We found Virgil lying on the floor in a pool of blood and leaking his purple anxiety glow. Remus went to Virgil and started listing ways to die by natural causes. Lightning strikes body, hurricane hit, tornado house, concussion? I don't know. He started crying into his own hands. Wow, there's a lot of crying in this book. Roman seemed not to know what to do. He stood there with his sword, ready to strike, though just as any mental villain, you cannot kill it with a sword. Logan was conjuring up different tools to help Virgil, including a deathbed and a heart machine that you see in hospitals. Wow, that's dark. Then there was Patton. He was cradling his dark strange son on the bed, crying into his lifeless shoulder. He was so defeated and ruined. He was whispering something, but I had no clue what he was saying. I would go by Patton to see if he was okay, but he probably hates my guts. I go up to Remus and hold him tight in my arms. Now to think about it, when did the snake bite on Patton's arm heal? Who cares? I stroke his back like I used to do with Virgil when he was younger. I am actually going to quote Virgil and Lin-Manuel Miranda at the same time. I had one shot, but I threw it away. I was thinking to myself in a deep spiral when I suddenly got no control over my body, though it did give me an idea. I stood up slowly and cautiously. I let a yellow fire burn at my hands, this time flaming with pain. Patton looked at me and screamed on the top of his lungs. You did this, you monster! You being! Why in the world would you exist? Roman turned his head and drew his sword at me, but was too scared to say or do anything else. Logan turned around from where he was trying to help Virgil and stepped to the side, showing a frightened emotion. Remus stood up and looked me right into my snake eye. He took a shaking breath and started talking to me in an intensity that I never heard out of him. Deceit! What in the fucking world are you doing? We took a big gulp and... he took a good big gulp and stood back in fear. Patton did not step away from Virgil, but he held him tighter. Lucky for him, this will not hurt him. I lifted my hands and pointed them at Virgil and began a chant. Wrap thee in cotton, bind thee with love, protection from pain surrounds like a glove. Brightest of blessings surrounds thee this night, for thou art created for healing thoughts sent in flight. A bright stream of burnt yellow flames at Virgil and swallows him whole. The other sides gasp and are deadly still. The flames pick up Virgil and flame him through the air, swirling him around and lifting him higher. He opened his eyes with more glee and shock than anxiety. The sparks tickling him like a feather duster as he gets lowered to the ground softly and safely. When I look at him, he is good as new with not a scratch on his body. His body and purple mousse disappear from the floor and everyone tackles him in a big giant hug. So I guess the person who saved his life doesn't matter. It's not like I even just stitched him up. I literally just renewed his body completely. I started heading towards the door when black and purple sleeves surround my chest in a tight hug. I was about to resist, but then I hear something come out of the figure's mouth. I'm so sorry. Thank you for everything. I then embrace the hug and the others join in. The hug feels so nice and warm. It's so welcoming. You are welcome to bring your room over here so we could be together. I let a sigh and then I let go of the 5 sides surrounding me and walked to the door. I would love to, but first, I have some business to finish. I walked back to my room, not wanting to travel quickly to take in my surroundings. The hall seemed new and exciting. The halls were welcoming and quite enjoyable, even though these are the walls that taunted me just a couple hours ago. I look at my watch. It is just about midnight. I walk to my room, and there is a toddler in front of me with an orange and black sweater and orange frosted tips. He backs up slowly as I step towards him. It's okay, Orange. I am here, and so are the others, and we will protect you. He hesitated at first, but then he came to me in sobs. I embraced him and coddled him as he cried into my shoulder. I love you, Daddy. I sighed, a breath of acceptance. I love you too, son. I then let go of him after a good 5 minutes, and I told him about our new room arrangements and how we are going to live with the dark sides, and I meant light sides apparently, and he will get his own room. He was quite happy with this change. I stepped my own room out from where it was, and the mind palace took a shift. Now the whole rooming arrangements were out of place. The main side's rooms were as well as Virgil's, but instead of it just being a wall, Remus, Orange, and my room lined up next to their rooms. Before I could say anything, Orange ran straight into his room and screamed in excitement. This is everything I ever wanted! Thank you, Daddy! Wow, that sounded very bad. Wow. I looked down at the 3-year-old child and gave a soft smile. Don't thank me. Thank Virgil. The other sides then stepped into the room in awe at the design pattern. The orange and black flame-like stripes really highlighted his personality. How about in celebration, we'll have a movie night in his new room? Patton had suggested with quite excitement, and everyone immediately agreed with relief and exhaustion. We then all went our separate ways to prepare for the movie. Final chapter, yes, final. Okay, I can't believe this is over already. Don't leave me yet because I have another book in the making. Also, I will have one more chapter after this with some details and stuff, so stay tuned. No trigger warning, whoop, but there is Inside Out spoilers if anyone hasn't watched it. Bad Moon Rising, Chapter 19. Love, I have learned, could be a cure. It could be a curse, I meant, yet a blessing. Love is what can break you into a million tiny pieces and put you back together. It is a glue of happiness that can also melt you into a puddle. Lucky for me, love mended me into the person I am today. If love didn't break me, then how would I have made it this far? I looked down at Orange, who was asleep in my lap near the end of Inside Out. My stomach bobbed up and down in a steady, calm rhythm that I can't get a grasp on. I looked around the room at a perfect family picture. Remus was beside me, holding my hand with a tight tug. He looked down at Orange with teary eyes every once in a while, then up at me. I got this knot in my stomach when he looked up at me once I never felt before. Patton was holding one of the stuffed puppies that he found in the room. Logan had fallen asleep from the boredom of watching the movie for the 17th time. He looked kind of cute in the father figure's lap, but who am I to say anything? Virgil and Roman were both invested to the movie as Joy launched herself from the line of boys and onto the window of her control center. They were so into it that they were squeezing each other's hands. The more I thought about it, the two pairs would make a very cute couple. And I was right. The very next night, Roman proposed to Virgil and they got married a couple months after. Wow, that's fast. The sensory of incredible. Plus, I got to walk my Virgil down the aisle. Oh, Oh, forgot I put that in. That's so cute. He is such a precious being, and I love him dearly. I was actually more shocked when he asked me to walk him down the aisle, more than he was shocked when the prince proposed. Later that night, Logan was giving a toast after he finished he proposed to Patton. Nope, not English again. Your emotional being cried into his arms with a sob. Yes. At 5:30, we all gathered around the dinner table and prepared for a steak dinner. The sprightly couples all sat next to each other. At this point, Virgil and Roman have had a child of their own, Remy. Wow. He is an aside, but they have adopted him. Oh, that's cute. Just like Patton and Logan did with Dr. Bacardi. Why did I make this a thing? I'm slightly offended at myself. Gasp. Orange was now a young teenager, and I wouldn't let him go through anything alone. Virgil even helped with most of his raising because he went through some panic attacks also. We still don't know what trait he is supposed to represent. Okay, everyone. Okay, everyone, it has been long enough, so I think it is time. All the sides looked up at me with a glare, and Roman and Remus gave each other an excited glare. Remus and I have been dating for some time, but I am not proposing to him. I am going to tell you my name. The whole table rumbled with excitement. Oh my gosh. I love my family at this point. Thomas is well into his middle ages, and we will be no more soon. Even though this wasn't the best life, it was one worth living. Now, no matter how bad or terrible things get, I know that my friends, my family, will be there for me. My name is... Day by day, I remember that this all happened in the suspense of the slithering. The end. Oh, I am shooketh. This is how you know your own story is good. You read it about 6 months after you write it, and you are shooketh. You're shooketh, and your throat hurts from reading a whole hecking 20-chapter book in one sitting. It may have taken you 3 hours, but... So anyway, I just want to say thank you all for getting me to 100 subscribers. This is so unreal, and I couldn't have done any of this without you. Me ruining my throat, reading a fanfiction that I wrote, was for you. You all deserved it. You helped me get to where I am today. And I'm hoping that we could extend beyond where we are today, and I could share my creations with the whole world. All I really aim to do is... Anyway, like I was saying, all I really do is aim to share my creations with the world and make the world a better, oh my gosh, a better place. Thank you all for 100 subscribers, and do your best.